What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Metal Maniacs Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Ingersoll, and I'm here with the man who started the Holy Wars.
It's your boy, Modd.
What's up, bro?
Brother will kill brother.
Yep. So, today we have a couple special guests. They're always special, but we got the boys from the Dangerville Podcast. We got Matt, and we got Ross, who has a last name too, Morgan, on the show. Thank you guys for making the drive out here and coming on the show.
Hey, appreciate having us out, gentlemen.
So you guys have a podcast, and you let us be on there. I've been on there maybe 3 or 4 times.
Yeah. Early.
Yeah. Early ones. You had Infinite Design on there.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Did a pair. The first one was off the chain. I was in my bag that day.
Mod was ranting.
Was that in the old spot?
Yeah, that was
The
the
OG
OG
baby.
spot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was hilarious. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a fun one. And then did we do another one?
Yeah, we did one at your current
Or
spot.
the new
Okay.
crib.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, I think that was the announcement of this show.
That's right.
And also our album that was on the way at the time.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep.
Still waiting on the fee we talked about
Yeah,
for that
seriously.
advertisement. You know,
Still trying to generate that.
Well, I mean, that's why we had to start the show, to try to get that check to you
Indeed.
guys. So, yeah, I mean, our show's a little bit different than you guys' show. Let me just tell you, though, I do listen to you guys' show a lot because I
thank you,
appreciate
buddy.
you guys
Yeah.
are my bros. I like to
Yes, sir.
listen to. I just listened to the newest one. I try to listen to all of them just to support you guys, and it's like kind of like I'm there hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
So I like that. 'cause
that's very cool.
You guys are my homies, so I appreciate that.
Back at you.
So tell me a little bit about the pod. Why'd you guys start to do the Dangerville pod?
Do you want to answer? Go ahead.
Sure, boredom for the most part. It seems like the best
Yeah.
answer. No, I think the real story, we were talking and I was kind of bitching. I was like, man, they just don't make good comedy movies or anything anymore. And Ross is like, dude, you got to start checking out some comedy podcasts. So I started listening to a few of the same ones. It's like, yeah, this shit's pretty rad. He's like, let's just do a podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
We were
That
doing.
checks out.
I was doing the comedy rap thing, and we did some songs, and then one of our other buddies was coming over, and we were like doing that, but we were also just like fucking cracking each other up the whole time, and that was part of it too. It was just like we should just be recording this, you know. And so we just literally started it on a whim.
Okay.
You know, it was literally like that day. He was like, "Oh, I didn't even know you were gonna have microphones." I'm like, "Yeah, I got."
Of course I got microphones.
Yeah.
Fucking
Yeah.
musician.
Fucking tons of microphones,
Yeah.
more than you could think.
We just
know,
assumed
too
everybody would be as entertained by our conversations as
Yeah.
we were. We found out subsequently that was not the case, but
We
seemed like a
amuse
good idea at the
ourselves
time.
anyway. So.
Yeah,
that's what Nick and I do. So
Yeah.
you got to do it for yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, if I
You
couldn't
know.
stand Jason, I'd have quit this thing day one.
The first minute,
Yeah,
just like
this is
yeah,
stupid.
This is dumb.
Just waiting for the behind the music on this one, VH1 to come
Yeah,
out in a
yeah,
couple years. Behind the scenes,
All
of
the
this pure
torment.
animosity.
These guys fucking hate each other.
The amount of cocaine was unbelievable.
The tormented co-host of the militant Metal Maniacs operation. What really went on behind the scenes. So what would you guys consider your podcast, though? Comedy podcast? Pop culture?
Yeah.
Fucking hanging out? What do you say?
All the above, man.
Yeah.
Kind of a variety show. Right?
Yeah.
Because you
Yeah.
guys do feature a lot of comedians. I mean, I know
Yeah.
you have musicians on too, but
Yeah.
that's where you come in.
Yeah.
And I know you know a lot about music, and I do want to talk about that a little bit, but it's kind of like you're the musician. You're not really the musician, correct?
Yeah, not so much
Okay.
anymore. Yeah.
So you used to play? Or?
Yeah, back in the day, played some drums and stuff.
Okay.
Didn't get real practical going to school and trying to lug the drum set around.
Oh,
so I was like,
okay.
"Man, probably bail on this for a little bit. So yeah,
Did you jam with Ross then, or?
Yeah, we had one of the preeminent metal bands
Yeah.
of our era called Priapism.
Priapism, baby.
May have heard of us.
Do you know what priapism is?
No.
It's a medical condition it's like described as a painful erection that's
It won't go away. Like
yes,
blue balls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like but
the
it's like
disclaimers
something-
on like Viagra,
Viagra
and stuff.
and
And
shit.
like,
Yeah, yeah,
erections
yeah.
go away
Yes,
after
yeah.
8 hours.
It's something
That's
about
that.
too, like when people, it like happens when like people get like seriously injured and shit too.
Oh,
It's
God.
pretty.
Oh, because all the blood rushes. straight out.
I don't know. My cousin told me that name long ago, and
It's
I
hilarious.
thought it was hilarious.
Your body's
It
got to
still is.
prioritize blood
Yeah.
flow to
Yeah.
the most important organs.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
When faced with a deadly situation.
I cut off my bottom leg, but man, my dick is making up
Yeah,
for it right
it's
now.
rock hard, baby. Ready to go at all times.
I don't know why this life-threatening situation is getting me aroused. Here we are.
I'm counterbalanced the weight, and my leg's gone, but my dick's holding me up on this side.
It might actually be the greatest band name of all time. Now that I'm
Right,
thinking
isn't
about
it?
it too.
Yeah,
I'm thinking
it
we probably
actually
got to
is.
start
Certainly
a new
top
death metal
three,
band
yeah,
called
yeah.
Priapism.
Yeah, bring it back.
A little help of AI. I mean, yeah, you'll be good.
Yeah, we'd had that. Our hit song was Deodorant. That was the name of the song. We ruled. We ruled, dude.
Was that about like metal dudes need to wear deodorant?
It should have been. Yeah, pretty much. It pretty much was. Yeah, I don't know about metal dudes specifically. We were in.
Let me tell you. Specifically.
Yeah, seriously, dude.
goers,
Oh
but-
my god, it's so bad. Dude.
The subtext of deodorant was really pretty multi-layered. It was much more about like the conflict in Israel and
Yeah, it was deep.
Palestine. at the
It was
end
a
of the day,
layered
but yeah.
layered
Oh,
song.
yeah.
You know,
It was like
we were ahead of our time.
metaphorical. Yeah.
Deeper than me. I'm
About-
only 5'6". So
About the conflict in Gaza, pariahism. The Hard Dick Band talks about the conflict in Gaza.
We were pretty socially conscious
dude.
at the end of the day.
We got to bring
aware.
back priapism, dude. What are we
That's
doing?
top
Yeah.
friend.
Yeah.
T-shirts, all kinds of swag. Dude, it's got to be done.
Hey, what happened to so normally when we do like a pod, we kind of have like a script we follow, but with you guys, it's just gonna be a kind of hangout conversation type thing. Because we're mostly metal driven on the podcast.
You
But
think?
I know, but I know that's kind of not really you guys' thing. But I still wanted to have you guys on because you're the homies and fucking a little bit of cross promotion.
Yeah.
Never hurt anybody.
I
and
mean, we
fucking
like metal.
Oh yeah, I know
we
you
do.
do. I do want to get into that. I'm sure there's a lot of metal we could talk about, but I want to ask you, what happened to the segment? Does it stay or does it go? Because that was my dude. I like that shit.
Yeah, that's
Like,
private
That's
time.
fine, I know. Well, a couple of things. Well, first of all, we ran out of the whole concept was all these old CDs that I had, and I literally ran out of those CDs.
Okay.
I was gonna start going. There was a local record store in Granville right by my work. I was gonna start going in there and buying random CDs, but they closed. So
Oh,
that should.
fuck.
And the other thing was I was running the show on an old computer that still had a CD drive, and we switched up the computer and everything. And there, I'm sure you can get like a USB one or something, right? You would think.
Sure.
But,
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that also kind of ended it
Yeah.
there too. But I know we should bring
That
it
was
back. That
fun.
was fun.
That was
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much fun. I was like,
yeah.
sometimes like I would hear it, you're like, that's not that bad. Like
Yeah,
that's all
yeah.
right. And I'm like,
Surprising.
that was pretty cool. Like
Yeah.
that, not bad. Some
Yeah.
wild bands, but
The whole concept was I would buy a bunch of CDs based solely on the record cover. Back in the day, that's what so many of those
Yeah.
things were. It was like Circuit City. I bought a lot of CDs there. Over here on Sherman,
Yep.
Best Buy, whatever. The used CD store, fucking here in town.
recordings and
Recordings
more.
and more.
Recordings and more, baby.
Yeah.
So many CDs. They all
Yeah.
got the little sticker in
Yeah.
the corner. They came from there.
and then the dude just sat there like the king,
Yeah,
and all this
yeah.
good shit was behind him.
Yeah,
You're like, this
yeah,
is my
yeah.
shit. This
Yeah.
ain't for sale, but look
Right.
at my
Indeed.
shit.
That guy ruled. I talked to that guy a
He
lot.
was so cool, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he was-
think
he was
everybody
good.
kind of went through the method of like picking stuff up by a cool band name, cool album
Yeah,
cover for a while, which
right.
I did as well. And then I learned my lesson when I bought something called Savage Garden. Because I was like, this sounds pretty rad. These
That
guys
sounds
probably
metal
rule
as
pretty
fuck,
hard,
dude.
you know? I was a big
Savage Garden.
Soundgarden fan back in the day. Check
in the
this shit
garden.
out for sure. I'm like, this is among the
They're
least
also a
savage things
garden,
I've
but
ever heard
it's
of my
more
life.
savage.
Yeah. Another garden, just heavier.
I'd bring that dude a stack of CDs that I had like no interest in. Like
Yeah.
same concept.
Yeah.
I bought it for the art, and then it turned out it was a doozy.
Yeah.
So I'd bring like 20 CDs into this guy. And he'd flip through all of them, and
Yep.
he'd just be like, "I'll give you $20."
Yep.
And it's like, dude, it's 40 fucking CDs, $20. Like I can barely buy one thing in your
He's
store
like,
now.
I already got 6 copies of this.
Yeah,
I
right,
already
yeah,
got-
exactly.
that
I
was-
mean, this
yeah.
Savage Garden alone is worth a minimum.
Yeah.
$10.
Yeah, right. Come on, man.
He's like, dude, the amount of copies of Savage Garden I have back here that everybody's
Yeah.
been returning to me.
Yeah.
They're just all the BMI, like all the Columbia House.
Yeah.
Oh,
BMI.
yeah. BMG.
Yeah.
Yeah, BMG.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, my buddy Matt, I don't know if you know Matt Kroll. His
Yeah.
dad used to work for the garbage company.
Okay.
And what they said is, you know how they would you would get almost on that subscription plan after you pay for so many, then they would just start
Yeah.
sending you
Yeah.
CDs, and
Yeah.
they would think it'd be something you like.
Yeah.
Well, all the post office did was when they got returned and those people didn't want them, they literally just took them in a box and set them out back by the dumpster.
Oh.
So his dad was a garbage man, and
Yeah.
he would just pick up those CDs and give them
Nice.
to Matt,
Swap.
and then fucking Matt would just hand us all kinds
Uh-huh.
of CD. I got like Rage
Yeah.
Against the Machine and Marilyn Manson, shit
Right.
that I probably wouldn't buy, but he's like, here's a brand new CD in the
Right,
fucking
right.
package that
Right.
Yeah.
got returned or whatever. I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck it, I'll take it.
You gotta have it.
For sure.
Bonus copy of Evil Empire out of nowhere. You gotta.
Does it stay or does it go?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I want to start it. It would be fun to do that again. I just got to like find. It's like used CD stores almost don't even exist anymore, you know, and that was a big part of it.
I could do that with my metal T-shirts. Like I've got 100
Right.
or 200 T-shirts. I'm like, does it stay or does it go?
Damn, dude.
Don't ask the wife.
Yeah, you're right.
Fucking in the dumpster.
Yeah,
I just found all my old ones going through my shit at my dad's. I got some fucking classics. in there,
Nice.
dude. Yeah, from the concerts back in the day, dude. Some real inappropriate shit too, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking got that Verve Pipe T-shirt, dude. I got that fucking like the local bands and shit. I'm just like, oh my god. My favorite one though is I got a fucking White Zombie T-shirt for my first concert ever. Was White Zombie here at the LC Walker
LC.
Arena.
Yeah,
and
I was there.
11 years old, dude. Yeah,
Wow, I
my
was gonna
older
say.
brother took me.
That's a doozy of a
Yeah,
first show.
yeah,
at 11
yeah,
years
the
old.
Ramones
Lots to
played,
soak
remember?
in there.
Also, my first show.
That
That's
was
cool.
my first concert ever. And
Yep.
I only got to go because my older brother and our older cousin, actually the same guy, hilariously, that gave me the Pariahism name, took me to that concert because he was like 20-something. And so him and my brother convinced my parents that it'd be okay if they took me. So
And it was.
And it was.
And
It's
you
totally
made it.
fine.
You're here now.
I'm still alive. I'm still scarred from that shit. But,
How do you think that influenced you?
man,
Like at that
that's-
time, like
yeah.
were you playing music at that time or interested in it? Or
Yeah, I would have just have gotten. I got a guitar in the 5th grade and started taking lessons and stuff in the 6th grade. So this was 6th grade.
Yep.
And you know, like I remember at the time, like my brother was super into Zombie, and so like I was definitely like. I was kind of shitting on it, and you're in the 6th grade. I'm like, oh, this guy sucks or whatever. He can't sing, you know. That
Rob
was like
Zombie?
that was my 6th
Being in
grade.
6th grade
I
is
was
not an
gonna
excuse for that.
I was gonna say that's not that hasn't changed for you, bro.
we still say that.
Yeah.
I can't sing.
Yeah.
Guy can't fucking sing.
And I fucking
Zombie
love
rules,
I love
let's be
Zombie
clear,
now,
Zombie
you know. So
rules.
I mean I
Yeah.
do like fucking that album, that fucking that last
Lost
Zombie record.
Ecstasy still?
No, the
No.
Astro Creed.
Astro Creed.
There you go.
That's still in my
Yeah.
fucking like
Both of
top
those
20,
albums, yeah.
and it is because of
Yeah.
like the influence and it's of a sound. The producer, that Terry Date dude, he's made so
Yeah.
many fucking great records
Yep.
and shit. That quasi-industrial and the
Yep.
sound effect. I'm still doing that, you know.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Boys, speaking of, I got to bring something up here. I
Bring
have
it
made this assertion many times, probably going to be met with some resistance. I submit to you, White Zombie, Astro Creep 2000 is the heaviest album ever written by a man.
yeah.
Step aside every other metal band, step aside death, step aside anything.
It's a heavy
White
record.
Zombie, Astro Creep 2000 is the heaviest of the
I just watched Jay's soul leave his body.
Give it another listen, boys.
I
I'm
don't
telling
know
you.
how I'm supposed to treat this, especially on this show.
They got-
I don't know.
there are.
No, it's a great album.
Yeah.
I remember like that album when I listened to it, it was like kind of scary at the time.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, oh, for
like
sure,
music
dude.
was
Yeah.
scary.
And
Like
we
the
were
first time I heard
young,
Cannibal
too,
Corpse, I
so,
was like,
yeah.
"There's no way this dude's fucking this girl with a knife. Like, there's just no way. This is fucked up." But White Zombie
Yeah.
was the same way. It was like
Yeah.
kind of weird and creepy and scary when you
That
heard it.
fucking
You're like,
Manson
That
EP
ominous
too,
tone,
dude.
yeah.
With what's the Smells Like Children or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
Like I'm sitting in my basement again. I'm 11, 12 years old, playing that shit by myself in the dark in my basement. There's all that carnival music
Creepy
and shit between,
shit.
and I'm just like legit getting freaked out and shit. You know. Now
Well,
I'm
there
like,
was so much lore around Manson when
Yeah,
it first came
yeah,
out
man,
too, and all the
yeah.
different ancillary stories. It's
Yeah.
like, who the fuck is this guy?
he
and
took
how
his
much of
rib
this
out,
shit's
dude.
Legit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Which kudos to him, by the way.
Mad
I mean,
respect.
that's the move. For
yeah,
sure.
when I seen him on the Wonder Years, I didn't know that. he
Yeah,
could take
yeah,
his rib.
exactly, dude. Yeah, dude, he killed on the Wonder
Yeah,
Years,
he
man. He was
great.
phenomenal.
One of my favorite characters.
You guys fucking with you heard the new Manson? He's making this comeback. You guys check this out at all?
So before I will answer your question, but
All
let
right.
me just caveat this by saying, like maybe last year, I'm like, I'm gonna listen to some stuff I haven't listened to in a long time
Yeah.
that I really liked
Yeah.
back in the day.
Yup, it's fun, right?
Yeah, and I put on Manson, and I was like, this fucking sucks.
Yeah, there's a
Like-
lot
like
of it that's like
Antichrist Superstar.
Uh-huh.
There's some bangers on that one.
Yeah,
Sure.
But I
Yeah.
tried to listen to other stuff, and I'm like, how did I even like this?
Yeah.
This is fucking dumb.
Well, you forget how
actually.
raw
Like,
shit was too. I
Yeah.
mean, the
Yeah.
production style is so different now with computers and everything. And I mean,
Yeah.
those guys were doing computer-based industrial kind of shit. Trent Reznor, whatever, was
Yeah.
producing that stuff. But I mean, like, it was like that Smells Like Children shit. It's pretty much like a band in a room, a sloppy fucking band in a
Yeah.
room. Like
Yep.
those guys weren't like. It was all about their show and being crazy
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
shit. Like it wasn't like these highly produced records. Like
So
shit is
Manson
now.
wasn't technically sound, is what I'm hearing. This is,
I
But-
did. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say his show, his live show. You went to that with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. was a school night.
That was one of the best shows I've
Right.
ever seen in
Same.
my life.
Still,
That's
to
how
this
I
day.
feel about
Like,
Zombie too.
yeah,
It was
like, of all the
his
things
show's
I've-
huge.
All
you
the
know?
things I've ever seen, and I've seen so many fucking concerts, man, just
Yeah.
like you guys
Yeah.
have, you know.
Yeah.
But that Marilyn Manson show at
Yeah.
that point in my life,
Yeah.
that show that he put on,
Core memory.
that was still
Yeah.
one of the best shows ever,
Yeah.
dude.
27 years ago.
I just saw him though. It was right before COVID. It was the last concert I saw before shit
He hasn't
lockdown.
really
Thing. It
played
was
much since then.
It was Zombie and Manson co-headlining tour,
Yep.
and we basically went to see Zombie. But also, I was like, I had never seen Manson's. I was pretty stoked. I'm sure fucking Manson's gonna throw down. You know, terrible,
I heard.
terrible, dude. You might have heard from me because I've been saying it.
Well, a lot of people. I read the comments all the
Dude,
time, and
He was like super overweight, couldn't sing. Like, I'm just like, dude, like you got one job, you know,
Yeah.
like all you got to do is like be in decent shape and be able to sing a little bit.
yeah,
Which it seems like that's kind of what he's done. I mean, they really were canceling him there for probably
Hard.
deservedly.
So he was,
I don't know.
so he was more Manson and less Marilyn. That's what
Yeah. It was just like sad bad. Like
Yeah.
oh no,
You ever-
dude.
like Vince Neil said.
Pretty much.
Whoa, whoa,
Yeah,
man.
maybe not that far. Maybe not
going
that far. Yeah.
he was encroaching upon it.
Yeah, it was not good.
That's kind of your God-given right as a rock star, though. You attain a certain level of fame, then just let it
Just
go.
let it
Come
all
off the
go.
rails and mail it in. Rest on your laurels, dude. That's what
fair.
everybody's hoping to get to ultimately.
That's
at the
true.
End of the day.
That's true.
The comment sections that I read, they seem to be in favor of Manson currently. Like he's,
I gotta say the new tracks are pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
he's working with some young producer, you know what I mean, like
Yeah.
some guy that's killing it and kind of making the shit,
Yeah.
you know. But like, I didn't hate it. I mean, like, I was never a super fan to begin with, but like, it was all right.
it
You know,
sounds like the live
I'll listen to
performances are going
Yeah.
off pretty well for him too. Nothing's gonna ever beat the Antichrist Superstar though. Like
Yeah.
that's, first of all, there's the nostalgia factor. Now you've
Yeah.
had 27 years to soak
Yep.
it in,
Yep.
if you will. But also, like at that time in his career, like the young, healthy Manson,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
but also able to get just wilding out of his mind
yeah,
and just be, like in perfect shape and hit all the notes, like that.
it was definitely of an era.
yeah, that show,
sure.
like
Yeah,
there's
'cause
he's not bringing that back.
I mean, they had a bunch of hits too. Like they
Yeah.
had the
Yeah.
Sweet Dreams. So the Smells
Yeah.
Like Children wasn't really nothing. They just happened to have
Yeah.
that cover that made
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And then Antichrist had all the hits on it,
Yeah.
like the Beautiful People
Yeah,
and all those other. But
I liked
he never was that.
Mechanical Animals, which was that maybe the next one? Or
Yeah,
two-
that was the
two
one where he
later
had
or
the
something,
boobs
yeah.
on the front.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the one I got from my buddy.
Dope
Vince
Show
Trash.
maybe
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
on there or
Boob
whatever.
suit.
Yeah, I kind of liked
Drugs.
that. Yeah.
And he wasn't really like the greatest singer or anything.
No, he never
Anyway,
was
he never
ever.
was,
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
like you,
But-
like he's kind of
yeah.
got that raspy,
Yeah.
dry kind of.
Well, it was always
thing.
more about like the performative aspect
Yeah,
and
for
just
sure.
kind of tapping into the angst and let's get as wild as we can and all
Yeah.
that shit more so than the music itself.
Yeah,
it always
for
felt.
sure.
But when you
like,
can't do your own thing,
Yes.
that's what you know what I
Yeah.
mean. That's where it was just like, oh, bro, like this is not good.
Yeah, yeah. You made this, and you can't even do it.
yeah.
So let's get into this. Tell me about you guys are huge Megadeth fans.
I don't even know if that's exactly true.
Okay, I'm curious.
Yeah,
That's why I
it is
wanna-
in a
we're
way
huge
we
fans
just-
of talking about
Yeah.
Megadeth, for sure. Yeah.
So is Megadeth.
Well
Dave
put.
Mustaine loves us, dude. I don't know why it became, because there was like new Megadeth when we were starting to do our podcast. So
Okay,
we're like,
okay.
and so there was a lot of shit
that
going
just-
on with Megadeth, with the bass is getting fired and yada yada. There was a lot of drama. So we just talked a lot about Megadeth for like weeks at a time. I love Megadeth, don't get me wrong, but I like the fucking purists hate me on this too, because I like newer Megadeth better than old Megadeth.
Mm.
And I think we might have
Hot
talked
take.
about. Yeah, I know, right? That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. The purists are gonna fucking kill me on that.
Oh, you
but-
got one right there.
I know. I'm not saying I don't like old Megadeth, but
Yeah.
I like, and a lot of it's because of modern production. and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's this thing to me. I talked about this. There's this era right at the same time where Metallica and Megadeth cross for me, where I love early Metallica, and then it's like right at the same. It's like whatever 2002 or whatever, where like I really like Megadeth more, in
Yeah.
the modern era, but.
Yeah, I think they've at least managed to get back to their roots more over the years than, say, Metallica. And
Yeah.
like Death Magnetic is definitely like a great effort, and even the follow-up to that was another great effort on their
Yeah.
behalf. But I think Metallica got so far removed from what they were originally good at that
Right.
them going back to it kind of felt disingenuous, whereas Megadeth was just so far under the radar that they could do Risk and Cryptic Writings, but then come back and like say, we're gonna go back to thrash metal now, and that sounded good.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to that. It took them a while too. Like they also went through The World Needs a Hero.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Yeah, I actually like that one better than the previous efforts, but then The System Has Failed was like, all right, now we're doing thrash metal again, which wasn't even going to be a Megadeth album. It was going to be a Dave Mustaine solo album.
That's my favorite Megadeth album.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
At End of Day, I didn't care for it at the time because I felt like, oh, now you're going to do metal again. Well, where you been? And now you kind of sound dated, and there's like way better metal than what you do out now. Like I don't want to hear like 90s thrash anymore. I want to hear like what's happening now in the 2000s. Like there was like 2004, like we're talking All Shall Perish and Black Dahlia Murder. So I've moved on from that style of heavy metal at the time, but have mad appreciation for Megadeth over the years, and I'm just trying to look at what was out at the time maybe. So maybe The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead 2022.
Yeah. That's got to be the new.
That's the most recent one, and I'm just wondering if that's the one that
tracks
you guys
featuring Ice-T.
I loved it. Yeah, it's got that Ice-T cameo.
I love Dystopia as well prior to that.
Yeah,
so.
Dystopia was great.
Endgame was a banger, I thought.
Endgame was
The
good.
Endgame
There's really
thing.
none of it. There is
13 Endgame. They had apparently, and I haven't listened to too much of this, there was Super Collider in the
that was
middle
the
of
one
all
I was trying to figure out.
Yeah.
That one kind of sucked.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. United Abominations before that wasn't bad.
I loved that too. That
Yeah,
was kind of the follow-up to System Has Failed.
System Has Failed. Yeah, that was pretty good.
I saw him on that tour, United Abomination shit. That was the thing about Megadeth too is fucking like you could talk about that in Metallica or whatever, but it's like Megadeth is just Dave Mustaine and a bunch of dudes.
Yep.
Where like it's so much easier to stay great and be pushing the envelope when you can hire
The best.
the 22-year-old fucking hotshot. You can hire you literally can kind of handpick the best players in metal for your band.
And you're so established that everybody wants to
That's
play
what I'm
for
saying.
you.
Yeah.
You know?
You got money. You could pretty much outpay any other metal band.
You can get any show, really.
If you're good
You
enough
got
to play
that Mustaine
Megadeth.
money. You got free
You
reign.
did
to do
indeed,
as you see
indeed.
fit, baby.
I mean, there's all kinds of artists that'll learn that catalog just for the chance to get that bag.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
because,
Yeah.
like Dave Mustaine is going to need a new lead guitarist in, I don't know, a couple months maybe, the way it's gone.
Start shredding.
Yeah.
So
Start learning Holy Wars now,
Indeed,
motherfucker.
indeed.
Yep.
A lot of those dudes already know that shit.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
how they learn to play,
Yeah,
you
no
know?
shit.
Like,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that shit. So, what about you, Matt?
big Megadeth fan, are you?
Why?
Megadeth or
I'm a
Metallica?
Megadeth
How do
fan.
you lean on the Metallica versus Megadeth debate?
I gotta tell you, I kind of tapped out on Metallica a little bit once, like after Black Album, and even that was starting to get, and like not so much for me the whole like they sold out or whatever, but I really like that raw Metallica, man, the early like Master and One and shit like that, and Justice. I mean, that was kind of the banger for me, but. I'll get after a little Megadeth, and Megadeth's an institution, man. We caught him live, like Mustaine rules. He's the man. Megadeth shreds, so you kind of can't go wrong with either, honestly.
Yeah, Megadeth. I've always kind of been more of a fan of Megadeth. I did cut my teeth on everything Metallica when I first started playing and everything.
Yeah.
I
A lot of guitars.
Megadeth was a little harder.
Yeah,
for sure.
And that's
sure,
why
yeah.
I started leaning towards that because
Yeah.
it was more complicated
Oh, yeah.
as a musician. So
Yeah.
I kind of started respecting it
Yeah.
more.
Metallica was always kind of the more like accessible, digestible band for the masses, right? Like
Yeah.
it was
That's
just
why
more
they were the
pop
ones
metal,
that
essentially at the end
popped
of the
in,
day,
the big way. you know,
Yeah.
All their peers were less so.
right.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love the success of Metallica. There's
Yeah,
nothing
fuck
I
yeah,
love
man.
more right now than seeing these guys play these tours with
Oh, yeah.
Pantera and shit. It's like
Yeah.
Yeah, they
these
fucking
huge
rule.
arenas and shit. I'm like, how cool is that for those
Yeah,
guys? That
yeah,
makes
yeah.
me so happy. Now, like all throughout the years, them doing this, fucking the whole Napster thing, and like
Yeah.
they've had a
Yeah.
bad rap. Lars has gotten a bad rap. But the dude,
I love Lars.
The dude is a solid drummer. He
Yeah.
can
Right.
write some good fucking music.
Yeah.
He can
Sure.
write some shitty music too, but we all can. So I don't know. I just nothing but respect for Metallica.
No,
I just kind of always liked Megadeth's music better.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like for me, I kind of fell off with both bands as soon as they cut their hair and started playing the other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I mean,
I love those records too, though. I love me some Load, dude. You know,
Load's a
Load
good
fucks,
record.
dude. I love that shit.
Cryptic Writings was
Yeah, I
great.
listened to
Yeah,
a ton of that album.
What's the big song off Cryptic Writings? That first song,
Trust?
Dude, that song fucking rules. dude.
Yeah.
I love it. You know,
yeah.
like
No,
I'm
great
not a
song.
hater. You know, it's a great song. It's a great song. I'm not
Yeah.
gonna be like this sucks because it's
Yeah.
not.
I
you
think
know?
the constant problem throughout the years is you're comparing Megadeth to itself. You're comparing Metallica to itself.
Yeah.
Where you had the standard of, I want thrash metal, I want heavy, I want
Exactly,
intensity,
yeah.
and then it's like this is pretty much hard rock. And when you take the band name off of off of the disc. You're like, all right, just put it on, and you're like, oh, this is a great hard rock album, and I'm for it. But then you're like, oh, by the way, it's Megadeth, and they pull the rug out from under. You're like, I fucking hate this shit.
I try not to
terrible.
do that. Well, we were just saying
just
the other
talking
day.
about this the other day. It's that you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't as one of these legacy bands that's been out there forever, right? Because you're going to have the camp of people that want to hear the way you've been doing it, that they grew to love from you.
Yeah.
And then the other camp of the people like, oh, why the hell are they still playing the same tired shit? And why are they not changing it up and progressing? So
you can't win.
Yeah, when you lean into that route, let us do something different, then you're alienating the old fans some of the times.
And I've also said to Jay on the show too, is like the fan base, like the listener, like their tastes kind of grow one way, and then the artist, like they're gonna say we're growing also. Yeah. And a lot of times, like that growth doesn't like parallel.
Yeah.
Right. Like like I want to listen to heavier music. Well, it's cool for you, but I want to start playing like more reined in, toned down music. So a lot of times the fan base can grow apart if you change too drastically. But artists got to grow and change, I think. Jay,
and we know that through extreme metal. Just all the bands that we've seen grow from like some crazy death metal band. Yeah. Then all of a sudden 2.5, 3 albums later, they got clean vocals and big choruses and all that. So it's like, it's not every band stays the same.
Yeah, you want to learn to kind of write songs.
Yeah.
There's things too about like there's even like what would like Metallica being the perfect example of like when you start playing arenas and shit, you actually have to like that technical death stuff, it doesn't read in arenas because it's too big, it's too echoey, the people in the back, so you have to start playing like mid-tempo fucking like arena. That's why they call it arena rock, so like it depends on that too. You start getting big enough and it's like, well, we can't really, what we're doing doesn't actually translate in this venue anymore.
And one of the things that Jason and I discovered about playing extreme metal music is once you get in the studio and you start playing it, you're like, oh, sounds different in practice when we're just going balls to the wall, amps cranked up, and then you're trying to replicate that in a permanent form, and you're like, man, we really kind of like shot ourselves in the foot here writing this very, very technical music. This is going to take forever.
With all these tempo changes and shit. You're like, why? Like,
and we kind of got to a point where like we can still kind of like capture the attitude and the feeling of it in the musicianship without like hitting that skill ceiling all the time, like, oh, I got to be better than I ever was. It's like that's tiring. I could still capture like anger and angst and all that, and like just kind of like tone down some of that technicality and still like write an awesome heavy metal or death metal song.
You're only playing for musicians when you do that.
Yeah, exactly.
There's only 17 guys that would be like, that's cool.
There's the 4 guys.
And then there's like 40 other people like, what the fuck?
All the girls are in the
bathroom,
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know how hard I practiced to sweep pick? And
don't
you guys
care.
don't even like it?
You don't appreciate my mad shredding, dude. Yeah. You should only be trying to get better as a songwriter, whatever that means.
I agree.
Like, if you need to push yourself technically on your instrument or something, that's great too, if that's what you're into. But like, when you're saying like, oh, trying to be at that ceiling or whatever, like that ceiling should be more about what you're trying to do artistically and less about, so if it's a simpler riff but a better song, that's what you want.
Ultimately, it's about the purpose, right? Like if you're trying to play technical shit for the sake of doing so, and just like this looks/sounds impressive, but it's not maybe the right thing that fits the bill. Like why do it? Just like
Dream Theater's kind of like that to me. Even it's like watching Dream Theater play. It's like, holy crap, this is just ridiculous. But like throwing on, especially with one of their newer records, and I like Dream Theater and everything, but like it's like it doesn't like hit me like song wise in an emotional way or anything. It's like, this is incredible and it's a good song, and but it's like watching it, you're like, oh my god, how?
It's a spectacle.
Like,
I've never turned on Dream Theater and was like, man, I can't wait to hear the next 7 minute song.
Exactly.
Well, I can't wait till this 7 minutes is up because the next one's gonna be.
Well, that's what their singers do.
Really gonna shred on that.
The funniest part about Dream Theater to me is when the fucking singer leaves the stage for 10 minutes at a time.
Straight up.
What are you doing back there?
The dual fucking keyboard and guitar solo.
The braid is hanging out in the back, eating the charcuterie table.
Seriously.
Piece of salami,
checking the
provolone
NASDAQ,
and
the
shit.
Dow.
Indeed.
Selling off Dream Theater stock.
Right.
So I don't know if we can talk about this, but I'm going to ask anyway. She had the boys on the pod last night, huh?
Yeah, we can talk about it. Yeah. Why couldn't we talk about it?
I didn't know. I don't know. When does it come out?
It's highly privileged information
Tomorrow?
for the time being.
You guys go pretty fast, don't you?
I try to. Yeah, I actually edited a little bit before I got here. Actually, so
cool.
this is taking up my time here. So I'm
gonna have. Sorry, Luke.
I'm actually gonna have to go home and work on my show. Actually, the fucking the boys from fucking Reinventing Yesterday were on last night. They're good dudes. I hadn't really ever met those dudes. I know Luke's a good friend of yours.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he said I had texted him. We usually text almost daily, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going out tonight to do the pod, Ross and Matt's pod." And I'm like, oh, "Okay, hell yeah, that's cool as fuck."
Yeah, Brian who's been working with us producing. He's a big fan of those guys.
Oh,
so
okay,
he was
cool.
kind of like, "Hey, these guys are getting back together. You should hit them up."
Cool.
So we
Yeah.
did.
So going back to the Dangerville pod, like, what was that decision to bring Brian on? And because I know you guys introduce video and stuff now, right? Was
Yeah.
that kind of the thing to have him help you out with that, or
Yeah,
something you were thinking about before, or what?
we were thinking about it. We were kicking it around and trying to figure out how to do it. And then he came on just as a guest for like the second time. And Brian can rant. He's
Yeah.
a talker,
Yep.
And
Get him going.
Yeah. And he actually volunteered basically. He was like,
Okay.
"I've been wanting to do a podcast for a while. Like you guys should let me like kind of produce this for you." And I was like, "Well, this is kind of what I've been thinking too. So like let's see if we can get that going." So and he just kind of like stepped into it. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
Your cameras?
Yeah,
Because I know
we're
you
just-
had cameras. You've always done video shit
right.
here and there.
We're
too,
actually
so I
just
kinda
using
figured-
cell phones for cameras. We
Okay.
tried a bunch of different cameras,
Yeah.
USB shit, like high end by DSLR stuff, yada yada.
Tried those
And-
ones you had mounted in the bedroom up over the
Yeah,
bed for a while.
yeah.
Those things like it was
The
slippery
hidden
one.
webcams I have all over my house.
The OnlyFans
The
cams.
the OnlyFans cams. We were using those for a minute.
I mean,
didn't-
ultimately, the
they
decision
didn't know.
came down to when you got faces like this.
Yeah,
like, it's a
you
damn
can't
shame not
hide.
to have them.
Yeah,
on
you gotta
camera,
have
know?
them.
You can't
Gotta
hide these fucking
pixelate it.
bugs.
like some Japanese porn.
Yeah, but we just getting cell phones, man. We're just like, damn, these look great, like
Right.
easy to use, so we're
That-
just using our phones.
When
dude.
it comes to like color grading, they're usually like right on. Like,
Yeah,
because as you
'cause
can see, I
they
have multiple
auto-
cameras. I
yeah.
use my phone for the one. I want to get one to replace that.
Yeah.
But dude, those phones are just
Yeah.
as good as any.
Kind of
fucking
ran the
camera,
gamut on
dude.
stuff, man. It's
Yep.
just tough to beat like an iPhone at the end of the day.
Dude,
As simple
no,
as it
and
sounds,
no one's
you know?
ever
Yeah.
gonna know.
Yeah,
Like,
and
they're
we're
gonna be
doing
like,
low
it looks
light
good or it don't.
too. Like
Yeah.
in the actual, like we're not lighting like this.
Yeah.
We're literally trying to create the vibe with low light because that's more important to me than
Yeah.
how it looks or whatever. And the fucking auto adjust on the cell phones just like makes it look right anyway.
Yep.
I mean, they spent so much time on iPhones and shit doing low light technology and
Yeah.
everything.
For sure.
And it's just like, and then also like most people are watching it on a phone if they're gonna watch it. So like it's when it's for a device made on the device, it's for
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. So how long has he been doing that, and what does he help out with?
Brian mostly just drinks beer and talks shit. As far as I can tell, I'm not exactly sure what he's.
Like, does he help with post, or is that you?
No, that's all me.
Okay.
He comes in and does all the camera switching and
okay.
and helped set up the whole camera thing and
Okay.
everything. So like we got it's pretty legit as far as it goes. You can do the camera and like
You do
Joe Rogan
OBS?
style. Well, I don't
Is
know.
everything hooked through OBS then?
I don't know what that is.
Okay. OBS is just like a free program that like a lot of people do, like Twitch streaming and different stuff.
Okay.
They record, but they have an actual. It's like kind of a freeware too, and it's
Gotcha,
really
gotcha.
good. But they have the thing right on there where you can do the camera switching. So if you
Right,
have one of
right,
the
right.
camera switchers,
Yeah.
you just use OBS, and you're
Yep.
like, okay, Ross is talking now.
Similar
That's-
type
that's
of thing,
what he's
different
doing, yeah.
program.
It's
Yeah,
the,
it's got different
same-
camera,
yeah,
one camera,
yeah,
two.
okay.
can
It's
hit
the
it that
black
way, yeah.
magic stuff,
Okay.
which is
Cool.
kind of like.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get super expensive on that shit.
Oh,
we got the
Jesus.
the low model. You
Yeah.
can switch a couple cameras and whatever.
Yeah.
you know.
Right.
Yeah, Nick and I have been talking about that, but it's just finding somebody to like volunteer. I just want
Yeah.
somebody to make sure, like, we had an incident last week. I always tell Nick, that's your job to make sure that's recorded.
Right,
And then
yeah, yeah.
He didn't look up there for a bit, and I didn't either.
Yeah,
We're like,
yeah,
oh
yeah.
shit, that one said it stopped
Yeah, yeah.
recording. And,
Yeah.
Well,
you
we
know,
have a
that's-
guy to
that
do
type of
that,
shit,
and
you
he
know?
just we're missing half the video. I don't care. I mean, we're just fucking around, So like,
Right.
yeah. I was like, that's your one job.
Yeah, that's funny.
This one doesn't blink though; it just says REC in the bottom
Yeah,
left.
yeah.
All right, good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These style cameras are notorious for that. I've had that shit happen to me doing videos and stuff
It's
before
some-
where you think it's recording
Some
and
file. It was some file thing where it was
Yeah.
like cannot record the memory card. And I don't
Oh,
know if
right,
that
right.
lock thing got slipped up when I put it in there. 'Cause
Yeah.
sometimes that'll happen too. Like just move a little bit and then it won't record to the
Right.
card or whatever.
Yeah,
know,
we were-
so-
We were pretty deep into that episode. Now
Yeah.
I wanted to like do like a like you me right here right now. I'm telling you, audience, and I go to like do the eyes to the camera thing, which I hardly ever do. I'm usually just kind of like in the room in the
Yeah.
moment. But I'm like, hey, you listener at home, and I was like, wait a minute, fuck, that's not recording. Yes, like 60 minutes into the gig here, and I'm finally doing my job.
Indeed.
It's hard when you're trying to produce it and do it all.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know,
I know
that's
you guys know.
That's why I wasn't fucking with video at first and stuff. And
just one more thing to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Even still, it's a lot. Like, it's a lot of things to try to line up.
Yeah, especially because I noticed that you guys will play stuff on the pod now, too, so it's kind of hard to get that all patched in the right way to hear what you're hearing or not get flagged because you guys are playing something, you know.
Yeah, it's punishing. Yeah, YouTube, man. Real stickler for the
fucking flag you on everything, dude.
Seriously. Spotify, they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You know, you can literally put anything on there. Like, they don't care at all.
That's the Wild West.
YouTube's like the smallest little clip of something, and they're like, copyright.
Belongs to
can't
someone
play it."
else.
It's like, come on, dude, we're literally promoting their thing. You know, like,
yeah, it's
goddamn.
good for it.
Yeah.
It's good for it. But I want to talk a little bit about that. So I heard you. I kind of heard you get a little bit almost heated with that girl. Like I didn't get where she was coming from either. She was like, just steal everything. And I understand what you're talking about, but you were like, no, that does not fucking work.
No.
Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously, you know, I make a living also doing art stuff. It's in like graphic design world and stuff. But so like this AI shit, it's like it's a serious fucking thing for me, and it's also like I just think it's bullshit about. I don't know, just all of it, like just stealing. It's like I was trying to explain to her. I'm like, no, people like actually make a living doing this stuff. Like, you're not stealing from Steven Spielberg. That's what we were talking about. You're stealing from the guy. And her point was, well, Spielberg should pay you more. And it's just kind of like, it doesn't really.
He's not going to make money if he doesn't have
I know. I'm like,
to
if,
fucking
steal. If the movie doesn't make money, he's not going to get the next movie. You know what I mean? Like, he's gonna with his track record. But like a young filmmaker or whatever. That's what I was trying to explain, and that's the whole Lars thing. Is it's not about Metallica. That's what he was saying with Napster. It's about the next band that can't sell records anymore.
Like it or not, like economics is a real thing, and if people are incentivized to do the thing that they are currently getting paid to do, then they stop doing said thing, except for podcast hosts who are happy to waste plenty of time free of charge.
No, she's cool. She was arguing just for fun too, as we do. You know, so like
I just. Nick and I covered a story because we do the weekly show on Saturday, which is just like a 20-minute news. We just kind of throw it up on Facebook. It's nothing like this all produced or anything. It's just a conversation to put out more content. But we just talked about, so there's been all these like metalcore and deathcore, hardcore bands that somebody's taking AI and they are making a song in that style, and then they're uploading it to these streaming platforms under that artist's name. Because... So Nick and I were talking, and that's why I wanted to get into this conversation with you guys, because you've talked about it before on your show, and we've kind of even talked about it. But I think there needs to be some checks and balances. You shouldn't be able to upload something on Spotify under the name Marilyn Manson. That would be fucking stupid. If there's already established Marilyn Manson, or his record label, or him being an artist, should already have some kind of, this is a verified artist. You can be Marilyn Manson 12. Or 12169 or whatever you want to be, you should be able to do that. But I think that would filter a lot of bullshit off these streaming platforms. But then you got this AI shit coming. Guys making songs in the style of, and I've played with some of these. They make great fucking songs, dude. Like, they have this one, I can't remember what it's called, but my son wanted to do a Godzilla versus King Kong rap because we just went and watched the movie, and it fucking kicked out a beat and a sweet-ass rap and everything. I was like, this is a slapper.
It's crazy.
I'm like, fuck, dude.
Well, it's going to be a squirrely time for a while, right? Because there are all of these legacy laws in place for the old forms of technology and media that we have had to address, right? But now the speed with which the stuff is coming online and the AI thing, like, the world's changing so goddamn quick now.
Yeah, the laws
and the
can't
stuff
keep up
just
with it.
doesn't apply anymore. So you're trying to feel your way through, and in the interim, it's just the Wild West because there's no legislation in place. But I mean, ultimately, you're not going to know what the hell is real and what's not if there aren't some kind of checks and balances.
And it goes past our, obviously, it kind of almost gets into the political spectrum. You've heard or seen a little bit of this, like, oh, that crowd that they're addressing isn't real. That's all AI.
Right.
And you go and you move into the Hollywood thing too, where like actors are trying to protect their identity so that AI isn't like putting their face on screen when, hey, I never signed anything. You're using my likeness, you're using my voice and my face to do whatever product, and I get nothing for it. So pretty soon it's like, well, we don't need visual art. We don't need audio art. We don't need actors. We don't even need we don't even need people to vote because we'll just have AI vote because we don't even have we're not even speaking to a real stadium full of people. It's just all AI. And it starts to get really weird. It's like, Skynet takeover is here now.
It just happened. The date just happened. You know, the Skynet date.
Did it?
Oh, really?
I think so. The date when he becomes self-aware in the movies was just like last week.
So we're a little bit behind in reality, but not too far.
Yep.
They kind of went under the radar there with that last date.
But with an update on that story, I say that to say, yesterday I seen, and I don't know if it's the same person, but I sent Modd another headline that says somebody, I forget who, I think it's Apple or one of the streaming services, this guy made $10 million off doing that, but he got caught. So now he got arrested for it.
Good,
Yeah. So I'm like, fuck that guy, man.
Yeah,
Like,
they get to keep the 10 mils.
Oh, he made the 10 mil by creating music with bots to putting on these platforms, and then use bots to listen to them to make the money off of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of got to give it up to the guy.
Like
you're hurting me as a musician.
Well, the fucking, I mean, Spotify ain't fucking paying shit anyway.
No.
So I mean, so also kind of fuck them. I'm not saying it's okay to like steal from them, but it's at the same time, it's like those assholes ain't paying artists nothing.
No.
So.
No,
I'm kind of on some fuck those guys type stuff too, but I just think we
been.
need checks and balances because we had Alfonso from Heartsick on the show, and I go to listen to Heartsick music, right? These guys have been around forever.
Yep.
They've been around. They've been doing it. They fucking have I mean, their shit's top notch.
Right.
But I'm listening to Heartsick, and then all of a sudden another Heartsick comes up, and it's some fucking dickhead rapper out of New York in his mom's basement. And I'm like, okay, this ain't it. And then some fucking the band was really good. They were like a fucking hardcore band, but I'm like, this ain't Heartsick. So it's kind of like, what band was Heartsick first? Who's got the longest catalog? You shouldn't. It's the same thing as like a username with a Facebook or Instagram. I can't be Ross Morgan because there already is one or another 97.
I got that verified
why
blue
the hell
check,
would you
baby.
want to
But I can be Ross Morgan 69.
It might still be like that on indeed. No, that's actually my username, by the way.
Oh,
Ross
okay.
Morgan 69.
I'll be Ross Morgan 70.
69's taken all of
That's verified.
Like the Holloway stuff back in the day, we ran into that where it was under like some like soul singer who was under the name, and there's probably a lot of bands called Holloway or whatever, you know. So like, but yeah, it was like you couldn't. Our shit somehow got added to like their actual catalog or vice versa, so it was just like so weird. Like it's hard to like tell people. Like I don't even know if that ever got corrected. Probably not. You know? Like that was in the early days of like CD Baby was still the thing. You know.
Right now, the original Holloway guys are sitting around going, "The shitty prog band out of Grand Rapids. They bogarted their name."
Yeah, there needs to be something there. Like, if you want to upload on Bandcamp, that's completely different because you can make money directly from your fans. You can communicate with them. But when you start uploading shit to these DSPs like that, and I know why the DSPs do it because it's more money for them. The more people put music on there, the more money they get. They don't give a fuck. Like, they don't care if no one listens or fucking millions listen. Obviously, they want millions to listen, but the more you put on there, the better the chance that someone's going to pay them. So, you know.
Well, and ultimately, like, not a lot of people care about the business angle, but these people are spending time and money to build up their brand, to get the awareness, the recognition, etc. Like, they're busting their ass to get where they are, and then when somebody comes in and just poaches it and piggybacks on you, it's like, what the hell, man? It's just a bunk situation.
Yeah, so, you know, AI, it's just one of those things where it's helpful in some places, you know, and then in some places, like for a guy like you and what you do, like it's a fucking
there is
terrible.
Tons of pushback on it though, and it does seem to be like I don't really know anybody. I know like one guy who's like an AI bro, and it's like there's that Hard Times headline that's like guy who sucks at being human, really fascinated with AI. It's like you know what I mean? Like it's like a
guy with no soul.
Yeah, exactly. Guy sees potential in AI who sucks at being human. You know, so like that's kind of what it is. I don't really know anybody else that's like fucking like AI music. Like everybody I know and online and everything's just like. I don't want it if it's not made by humans from at least in art for sure. You know, like AI can do my fucking laundry for me. Where are we at on that?
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm That's where I'm coming from. Like,
yeah, do that bullshit so I can make the
That's
art.
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
do the
it's
art
the
so I can do
opposite,
more
yeah,
laundry.
exactly.
Like, I don't want.
Exactly.
What the fuck are we doing?
Yeah.
we got to get out in front of this thing.
Yeah, we got
Seriously,
it, man.
yeah.
AI's helping me do chores. Great. AI's stealing my art. Fuck you.
Exactly.
And like, don't get me wrong, I use ChatGPT quite a bit because
Yeah.
I got to write a lot for the show, and
Right.
it helps me out a lot, and
Yeah.
like helps me avoid plagiarism and putting stuff into my own words. Either that, or I'd be sitting there writing for fucking ever. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But like,
Yep.
I do use it at. But I also, there's not a lot of guys that are being hired to rewrite shit for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That is a
yeah,
job,
right.
right?
Oh yeah.
But that's not as common as a
yeah.
graphic artist or
Yeah.
a visual art person, or
Yeah, yeah.
you know. So
Right. Yeah, I know this guy who was like trying to push himself like as an author, and he was like doing all of it with fucking ChatGPT. And
No.
he'd literally be like, he'd be like, write me this chapter in the style of XYZ author.
yeah.
Right.
And do that like 4 times and figure out which one he liked best. And I'm
Oh.
just like, oh, you're trying to position yourself as a writer,
Yeah,
dude? Like,
no.
fuck you,
Yeah.
dude. That ain't how it's
Like
done.
proofreading's one thing, and kind of
Yeah.
some rewrites and stuff. But
Yeah.
if you're just trying to like capitalize on that whole
Yeah.
having everything done for you and trying to get the check,
Yeah,
like that goes
dude.
back to us being musicians or
Ridiculous.
podcasters or whatever. You got to have some love, some soul. You got to
Yes.
have that art
Yeah.
in there.
There's
or
a big
that shit's
difference
just gone.
between like taking a finished product that you created yourself and tweaking it with a tool like that
right.
versus that having be
Creating
the
it.
origination
Yeah.
point
Yeah. Right.
of the
Mhm.
entirety
Yeah.
of the piece of art or whatever it is that you're putting out there.
I just finished 2 years of school and I had to type papers every week. So they'd have that, your paper, your submission checked versus
Oh,
like
yeah.
a Chat GPT or any kind of
Mhm,
AI interference. So I had to get really good at just using my own words. And I
Yep.
still don't use those at all. And I get annoyed where there's all these different suggestions. I just want spell check and grammar check.
Yeah.
And I'm done. Like, I don't need you to like, hey, how about this idea? Or why don't we reword it a little bit?
Yeah,
no.
yeah.
No, I wanted
Like,
to, I
no.
wanted to fumble around right
Yes.
there because I'm a human being.
You
Yeah.
really
Yes.
shouldn't end
Yeah.
a sentence with a preposition.
Yeah,
God
that's
damn
right,
it.
That's right.
I
It
already
should be in
learned
your
them.
own voice. That's the point.
Yeah.
Especially with like all these great writers that we love. Like they're all so different. It needs to be in your own voice.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, I don't know. I think we all hate it.
Yeah, I think you can kind of tell too, like when you've seen it, like, oh, that definitely sounds like an AI script. People call it out all the time in
Yeah.
comments, like,
Dude, you have to change that shit.
Yeah.
It's a good starting point, but
Yeah.
I always rewrite what they
Right,
rewrite for
right,
me
right, right.
because
Yeah.
they'll add in words that I'm not going to use, so I'll
Right.
just sound like a fucking
Yeah.
idiot. I'm just reading something that the computer made, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's
like,
the whole thing. At the
you know?
core of it, like anything that's artistically done or creatively done, that human voice and human emotion is the crux of the thing,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
you want to use AI to check legalese and write
Yeah,
contracts
right,
or whatever.
right, yeah.
Sweet, more
Fact
power
check,
to you.
you
But
know,
like,
like yeah.
the thing's gotta have soul. Is like
Yeah.
corny and cliched as that
Yeah.
sounds. Like if it's not coming from a person, what the hell are you doing consuming it?
And
It's
people
not
can
a
see
real
through
thing.
that shit, kind of like you were alluding to.
Mhm.
Like once you start recognizing it, and maybe it'll get to the point where it'll be unrecognizable, but there'll still be something missing.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
looking somebody in their eye or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, it's kind of like that. I'm talking to you, but I'm looking down. Like,
Well,
you're like,
have you
we're
guys
not
heard about
connecting, you know,
right.
it's going to be like that with the music and all
Right.
of that. I just don't think there'll ever be that little finesse will
Right.
always be missing.
Have you heard about with the imaging AI, how there's so much bad imaging AI that it's now using the bad imaging AI as its source, so it's like actually getting worse.
Worse?
It's actually like this
Yeah.
downward spiral because there's so much AI created shit that's what it's now going to for
Oh.
its own shit.
right.
So it's like actually like getting worse. I mean, I'm sure they're gonna figure it out and correct it, but it's
Yeah.
kind of like hilarious right now. And also investors are kind of losing their ass right now. And again, maybe they'll get it figured out or whatever. But like it was really this bubble of like AI, and people put a lot of money into it, and it's not really like banking like
What
they thought it was gonna.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
but we'll
It's
see.
one of the few things, man. Like I can't think of another example of this where it's so polarizing and either end of the spectrum is so disparate, right? Like it can either be salvation and we're gonna cure disease, and
Right,
Right.
go to
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
Mars, and the entire possibilities of the world are gonna be opened up, or Skynet.
Yeah,
Right.
You know, like,
Yeah, or you're
There's
all
not
dead.
a lot of
Yeah,
middle
yeah.
ground.
Or
here.
you're all dead.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's a sticky subject. Like I said, I think it has its time and its place, but yeah, it's just real weird with the creative, you know, fucking aspect of it.
yeah.
And here's the other thing with AI that's weird is like, so you can get Chat GPT, and you can pay however many dollars a month, and then you can get the Dolly thing, which like I don't know, it's like an imaging thing. and
Yeah.
that's how many dollars a month, and then you can
Right.
get the other video editing thing, and that's how many dollars a month, and then next thing you know, I mean, what the fuck? You're gonna have $4,000 worth of AI programs every fucking month subscription? Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Right.
Like, I get they want to make some money off it, but like at the end of the day,
It's like TV apps.
Yeah,
Everybody got the damn things to save on the cable bill, and
Yeah.
you look at it all total up. It's like,
Subscription
shit, I'm
shit's
paying twice
getting
as what I was
crazy,
before.
dude.
Yeah.
Music production too, man. You probably had all the different plug-in shits. You might have got rid of them now or whatever.
I got everything.
yeah,
still.
dude. Fuck, man.
And I still want them all.
Yeah, I know, right? I'm like
That
looking
never
at
goes away. I just don't use it as much. I still want all this shit. I get all the ads on my phone. I'm like, I want that plug-in.
I'm like, dude, I really need this Slate subscription that I'm using once a year. You know,
I had that when it first came out, and that's where I was at. I was like, I like these Waves compressors better, so why keep paying for this? But yeah, everything's subscription now.
Yeah, I
like,
know.
even I
like,
use
alright.
you use Pro Tools, right?
Yeah.
And I haven't updated that in a long time.
Yeah,
but
my
like,
shit's
they're-
old.
Yeah,
dude,
mine is too. But
Mhm.
they're always like sending me some shit. Oh, you can upgrade, but it's only $500, or
Yeah.
you can get on the subscription thing. I'm like, my shit's working fine
I know,
right
that's
now
where I'm at with
because
my
if
studio.
I update
Yep.
and that. Next thing I know is I open a project on January 1st
And
that I was working on in December, and you're like, "Where's my money to finish your project?" And I'm like,
Right.
"Fuck you!"
They're like, you can upgrade, and I'm like, no, I literally can't. Your software won't run on my old hardware anymore because you made it that way,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
dicks. You know, like, yeah, I do love some Pro Tools still though, but yeah, my shit's it's getting pretty old, like all my converters and everything, but it's rock solid, and like I say, it's rock solid. I just fucking had to replace a power supply in one of my converters.
Oh,
And I'm like, I'm an electronics expert now. Opening it up, taking it apart.
oh yeah. So, give me your assessment on death.
Did you say this because I told you when you? I was like, I'll come in and here's my assessment on.
Well,
death.
you said you listened to a little bit of it, right?
I listened.
Maybe
to,
you did.
I caught
You
a little
listened
bit.
to just a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
couple of them.
So
Right.
you guys and our friend who's on our pod quite a bit, Lenz, he's a huge death guy too, and he was like, listen to it again. I'm like, okay, I will. And so I listened to 2 of their records, the full things. I don't really have a huge assessment besides it's just kind of like, it's one of those things where it's just kind of like not for me, you know,
Yeah,
like
sure.
you're wearing a death shirt, you know, like
Yeah.
I get it, and I'm like, I can hear like the riffs and stuff, but like I just like having trouble connecting to that kind of sound, or like, you know,
So, real quick, 2 questions.
I don't really have anything else to add. I don't have a huge assessment.
Do you know
really.
which albums they were that you listened to?
I probably could tell you if you told me the titles, but
Let me
I
pull
don't
up-
remember.
Would you know the artwork or no?
Probably. Yeah.
Okay, let me just pull up Death albums. And my second question was more like, wouldn't you say like see Death as like a springboard from like that early middle Megadeth, where you could see where we're coming from, or like
yeah.
we go from Rust and Peace to like not leprosy, but like spiritual healing or individual thought patterns.
That was definitely one of them.
Yeah, that's a good one. And Human. So here's pictures of the albums. Here's a collage. So Leprosy's
Yep.
old school.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think
that-
that's why he told me those one. He's like,
Yeah.
here's the old one and then the newer one or whatever.
Yeah. So and then the red one here, Sound of Perseverance. That's the last one under the Death moniker.
right.
Before he moved on to Control Denied, and that's when they introduced a clean vocalist, a la Bruce Dickinson or Warrell Dane or who have you.
Okay.
Like,
yeah.
so that was still Death, and probably more, maybe a little bit more your thing, like Queensryche. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, so the power metal, if you will, but it still had a lot of bite to it. It still had some teeth to it. where I was
Maybe
like,
that'd be a little more my speed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
check
you should
out-
check
yeah.
that out,
Check
or
out-
even Sound of Perseverance, because
yeah.
Maybe
that's more
maybe that
proggy
was.
stuff.
Yeah. And just to be clear, I don't hate it or
Right,
whatever.
sure.
you know.
I get it.
I'm trying
I
to
get it.
educate myself on all kinds of music
Right.
all the time. You
I
know,
just
so like, yeah.
for us, I think, and especially because Chuck is gone,
Yeah.
we like to kind of like persevere or like push the Death legacy a little bit. You know,
Right,
like see it sustained and grow, and not have it forgotten, and kind of like also show respect and tribute to the man himself. Because there was some music like that before Chuck kind of capitalized on it or ruled it and owned it and made it what it is. But
Yeah.
we kind of want to see that name kind of grow and become more accepted, and see like oh yeah, Death. I've heard Death. Like I don't want to have to explain to people what Death is. Like, yeah, it sounds macabre, but
Right.
give it a listen. I mean, you might actually like it if you like this, that, or
Yeah.
the other thing that's similar to it.
I think it is like our friend Lenz. He's younger than us, you know,
Right.
and he's like all into it, you know.
That's
So
awesome.
like I think that I definitely think that it's there. I think the legacy's there.
I
Yeah.
think like regardless of how you feel about the music at a minimum, you have to have an appreciation for pushing a genre forward and being that fundamental to so many things that come after, right? Like in a weird way, I almost equate it to the Beatles in my mind a little bit, where like the music and the sound might not necessarily be for me. And that's pretty cool. Like I was kind of getting down on some albums. I was like, okay, I see it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, like, am I going to sit down and go through a bunch of the catalog? Probably not for either one of those bands, but so many other things were built off of that sort of foundational piece that they put in place. So you got to give mad respect for it.
He was there when it started, when that whole Tampa death metal scene. And he'll even acknowledge, or he used to, acknowledge that maybe he wasn't the guy that started it.
No,
but he was right.
Credit
yeah,
for
but
it.
he was right there. His his imprint was on it. Like he was one of the guys to start it. You know, it's like you know how many bands are around Metallica and they're like, oh, we were right there playing shows for sure. Those guys. It's like, but you're not playing arenas.
Yeah,
so.
he might not have started it, but he was the best at it. There's that too. So I mean, there's a scene usually in like one or maybe two bands of that scene are going to rise to the top of just being like the best, more or less.
I see so many people too being like, I think it's the band X Order. They were Pantera before Pantera, but they never did what Pantera did. So you could be whoever you want to be before whoever was who they were.
Yeah,
but I just heard about you now, and I've been to 10 Pantera concerts.
Right.
That's the difference.
Well,
they got a lot of my money, and those guys got none.
For sure.
Like, history is not going to remember those people, but even for some of these guys that fall through the cracks, you know, like that probably influenced some of the bands that became popular, right? And to some degree, whether it's technology, music, or whatever, like somebody's got to kick down that initial door just to make it apparent to other people, like, oh, something like this is possible. So then it can be tweaked and maybe done a little bit better, or, you know, whatever your take on it is. But like somebody's got to kind of go, oh shit, we can do it like this. Never thought of that.
Like how Nirvana blew up, like they, you know, like of all those bands in that scene, like why that band, you know, or whatever. Like
I ask myself that all the time.
I love Nirvana, but it's just that, you know, I mean, Soundgarden was better band. So many of these fucking bands, Melvins, dude. You know, like fucking all of them, dude. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of bands that, you know, were either more musically inclined on their instruments or sounded similarly enough to Nirvana that it could have been them instead.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're nothing in the history of things. They're just barely a side note at the bottom. You know,
like they thought Screaming Trees was going to be the big fucking breakout band. You know, and they did well and whatever, but it's like they didn't hit that Nirvana.
Well, there's so many factors that go into anything like that,
a lot
right?
of
like
luck.
It's not just the music. It's what's the marketing machine behind it, and just like what resonates with people, and who's got the weird eclectic character, the front man that people are drawn to. So it's not just like what's the better music. It's such a super shit that goes into it.
Once you're at that level.
Two things on that. One is like, I never say grunge music, and I don't say Screaming Trees. I say Nirvana, and I like Alice in Chains better, but I just say Nirvana because that's the fucking name that's with that, you know. But I also can say I remember that Smells Like Teen Spirit video like this, but I never ever could tell you about any Screaming Trees fucking video.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So it's a lot to do with, where, like you said, where you're at, the promotion that you had behind it, you know, who got behind it, but that video, Smells Like Teen Spirit, that thing was fucking everywhere, man. That was like I just remember, I still remember it in my mind, seeing it like it was yesterday.
I'm Kurt Loder, and here's Smells Like Teen Spirit for the 38th time today.
So, kind of keeping to the topic of metal, like what is, we'll start with you, but like what, if you have like, give me 5 metal bands that you do actually like.
So I tend to dig a little bit more like the European stuff personally. Like anything up in the Scandinavian region tends to get it done for me. So like I know I don't want to speak for you, but like I know we're both big Opeth guys. Like give me some Meshuggah, some shit like that.
Love it.
Gojira, which I realize is out of France, not there.
Yeah, sure.
But
so a little
Still
bit more
European.
like that stuff. Yeah, but it's, I don't know. And some of the American metal stuff's cool. You know, like I'll dig some Mastodon and some stuff like that too. But it kind of just depends on what sort of mood I'm in. But I mean, ultimately, like I want something that's technically proficient, musically sound, and that you can still listen to. And for me, the European stuff is kind of right in that sweet spot, right? Like you've got the melodies and you've got good song structure, but with some of that hardcore intense shit layered into it. So that's kind of what I gravitate
That makes
towards,
sense. It's a little more accessible than some of the stuff we might listen to or get into.
Sure.
Like,
it's definitely
very
of the
niche.
proggier
Yeah.
kind of stuff, usually the European shit.
Yeah, Opeth, definitely.
Yeah.
So
They got the 8-minute songs or shit.
before we like move that same question to Ross, I wanted to ask you, Matt, like are you drawn to like the fry vocals, or is that like kind of a turn off for you at some point? Because the bands you just listed, it sounds like you're down with it. Like you don't mind the screaming and the growling.
It's got to be intentional, and that can't be the only thing for me, right?
Right, so
Like I need some melodic singing, preferably. Growls and everything layered in, awesome. But that's kind of where Opus, right, in the sweet spot, right?
Right.
Is you sort of get the best of both worlds. Like it's not all one thing or the other.
Yeah.
So I like that diversity. Like
Yeah.
for the actual music and technicality of it, like give me the most intense, polyphonic sound. Give me the multi-layered shit. Like I want that to be super complicated. And vocals, I want a little bit of everything layered in. I want to hear some melody, but like get hard growl, scream, some of the fry shit. Like if it's done well and in the right spot, like anything works if it's just done the correct way.
Obviously, the reason I ask is because that's like an immediate turn off for a lot of people. They're like, I hate screaming and I don't want it. And other people, like, I want to hear it. I don't mind it at all. Obviously, I'm a big part of that. It's a big part of my listening to music, but I don't want to hear like just a two-tone Timmy.
That's a big part of it
just,
too.
You got two different vocals all day on the album, and
Yep.
and they kill a lot of good music that way because it's like, man,
I'm with you on that.
great music, great musicianship, sweet riffs, and then this guy is murdering the whole album. Like
the number of bands I've heard metal-wise where it's like, if you take the singer out of the equation, this guy's really one of my top 5 favorite bands.
But if you can just have like Captain Crunch and the Soggy Men and all these different cool vocals that are fry and false chords, but you're everywhere with it. Like you do so many different, like a Mike Patton in a death metal band kind of scenario. Like we're like, oh man, that was new. What was that? Like all these gremlins and leprechauns and banshees, and I'm like, this guy's fucking everywhere. Then you have captivated me more to where I don't mind that I can't understand one damn word. I just read the lyrics for that part. But it's like, oh, like the riff changed and the vocal changed. That was pretty slick. So that's where I can like appreciate it more nowadays. I know back in the day it was just like, oh God, Glenn Benton, stop. Two vocals, just but and to Glenn Benton's credit, he's done more over the years to sound better. But yeah, I think that for me is even a turnoff after so many years of hearing like the growls and the fries. You're kind of like, I'm over it. I got to have like, I can see why bands would want to move into like clean vocals or just more audibly discernible. Like I can hear what the words coming out of his mouth. So
more people are gonna like that.
Yeah.
They
probably get bored with it too.
I was just gonna say like attention span's not the right term, and I'm struggling to come up with one, but like the brain needs stuff to change a little bit, right? You hear any
Keep it
of the same thing,
for sure.
the same,
If it's just,
just on and on. It's like, okay, we get it.
And that's one thing too. We talked a little bit about, and fucking sue me for bringing this up one more time. It's like too many vocals too, and that can happen over all kinds of music. But metal vocalists are fucking bad at it, man. They're like, I'm just doing this singing. But you guys get to play the whole time. We'll listen to me scream over everything, and that's turned me off to so many fucking bands that I think are great, but like your singer needs to shut the fuck up.
Well, when
like,
you don't have to come up with melodies over parts, and you can just do the same thing the entire time, then it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So you're just like, I'm just gonna scream this whole time.
And it goes back to the song structure thing too, whereas like we love to death. Because even though at parts they got real technical, real proggy, and they might get jammy, they'll always rein it back in with some chorus or something. And, he wasn't the greatest vocalist. He wasn't the greatest vocalist, but you gave us some songwriting. So it gave us something. So you can kind of get away with that with the one vocal as long as you give me some roundabout way.
Exactly.
But I don't want to hear a guy that can do 39 vocals, but he has to do them over 5 minutes of every song in every CD.
Nothing
like
repeats.
Because then that's like, okay, cool, you can do 39 vocals, but then it just still all sounded the same because you just did it every time. All the way
But again, it's that diversity of sound, right?
Exactly.
Like, you don't always need lyrics. Like sometimes just lay out and let the music do its thing, man. Like I'm perfectly cool listening to instrumental stuff. Like I love instrumental. You don't always need somebody fucking singing over the top of every second of music.
And that's just how the vocalist approaches it. It almost seems like it's to me, an amateur way to approach it. Like I need to sing over every riff or every rhythm or every. It's like let the music breathe, and then your vocal will stand out more.
Yeah,
a lot of those guys are like they're just like, this is our buddy who doesn't play anything. He's just gonna be he can scream. I'm like, I'm joking, but I'm not joking.
No,
you give him a 12-pack of beer and the microphone, and he's got maybe the frontman thing. He's a popular dude, or whatever. So like, why don't we have him do it? But then it's like he doesn't have any of the background of the so he's just kind of like, I'm just gonna hype the crowd the whole time or whatever, and it's just kind of like,
honestly, for me, like in a lot of cases the vocal canon should be the cherry on top more than the entirety of the cake
Yes.
itself,
Yeah,
if
dude.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and,
You know what I
and
mean?
a lot of times I found myself thinking about this just the other day. Is like the vocalist is always in an extreme metal band. To me, the vocalist is always in last place. He's always the least interesting thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I know you're out there at front, and you're the
Yeah.
guy holding the mic, and you think you're so fucking important.
Exactly.
I have
That's
the
what I'm
most
saying.
heartbreaking news for you. You
Yeah.
are dead last. This is a lead guitarist genre. Like,
Yeah.
this is an instrumental genre. You got
Yeah.
your drummer and your lead guitarist.
I've al-
Those
yeah,
are,
that's what I've always thought.
Yeah.
It's really about the guitar and drum
Yeah.
relationship.
and then you can have or not have an amazing bassist in your band. You can have or not have a bassist in your band.
yeah,
But I mean, you got to have an amazing drummer and an amazing guitarist, and that's why people listen to the style of music. Now, when you come in with your vocal, always keep that in mind. No matter how good you are, no matter how much you practice and do all these different backflips in your vocal cords, you're dead last. You're the last thing I care about. I'm always listening to what's going on behind you,
Yeah.
which isn't to say that I don't want you. I do, because you impact the song so much. And you could be singing about something that I'm like, yes, I love the content. I love what you're talking about. But you need to always like let that riff introduce itself. You don't sing over it the first time. And then you don't sing over like maybe the last bit of it because we're going into the next riff.
Yeah.
So you got to learn when to stop, or
Mhm.
and like let that next riff be introduced, because if there's a really awesome riff going on behind you, but nobody can hear it because not everybody's a musician. And all they're hearing
Right,
is that
right.
vocal out front.
Yeah,
and you're like,
yeah.
you're killing you're
and
stepping
a lot of
on
the
your own
time they're
band.
mixed too loud, like in the
Yeah.
Yep.
record, and like part of it's production style for me too. With like the American stuff, it's so dry.
Right.
And there's no like, and then the European stuff would like even like we'll just use Opeth as a great example. Like there's like a ton of reverb and shit on
Yeah.
his growls, and
Yeah.
it's like there's space there and stuff where it's like. With the other stuff, it's like it's just like
Yeah,
you're right,
yeah.
and like I'm not enjoying this.
Yeah.
You know?
So Ross, I guess with that space, we'll kind of move it over to you. You're a very eclectic musician and music listener.
Yeah.
So metal is just one facet of your musical world, and probably not even
Yeah.
the biggest by
I
any
would say very
stretch.
small piece, probably.
No,
Yeah,
I
right?
mean, I don't know, sort of. It depends
It's-
on how you define metal, but I mean, like, heavy guitar has really kind of always been my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I
Sure.
mean, I grew up listening to, you might say, grunge or even like emo-y shit or whatever.
Sure.
You know, we were watching Weezer and Green Day and shit. You know, and
Yeah.
then
Right.
from there, moved to like when I started playing guitar, really got into Metallica, and that really opened up that world. You know what I
Sure.
mean? And then from there,
Yeah.
moved into more like progressive rock, prog metal, you know.
Yep.
So I really love prog metal as far as it goes. Opeth, we can keep talking about Opeth. They were a big influence. There's that era of Opeth that I just fucking love because it's like got all of it, great production, it's
Mhm.
heavy, there's acoustic guitars, whatever.
Yeah.
So what was the question? What are we talking about?
Like top 5 metal
Give
bands
us
off the top of
oh.
your head, maybe.
Yeah, metal. I mean, it's gonna be pretty similar. I mean, like Tool's my favorite band.
Sure.
I don't. Do they even count as metal anymore?
They're
I don't
four-
even know.
they're
you know,
four
like-
metal
if you ask
people.
a
Yeah.
lady over 50, yeah. But
Yeah, I know.
Right.
They don't even count themselves as
That's
metal.
what
They're
I'm
like,
saying.
we're the
They're-
Pink Floyd of metal. We
Yeah.
don't even,
Yep.
like.
I never considered
know?
them metal.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed Tool. I've always thought they were great.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
never, if somebody said they were a metal band, I'm
Well, they
like,
just-
nah,
They've
not
got
really.
such
Yeah.
good music that appeals to heavy metal fans,
Yeah.
like The Grudge or Ticks
Yeah.
and Leeches.
Yep.
And they've just got so many things, and he does the screaming.
Exactly.
So for me, I can see where metalheads would say, I like Tool.
yeah.
And
That's
a
why
lot
they're
of people,
so popular, is because
Yeah.
it's so appealing to so many
Yeah.
people. Like,
And they're also technical, but it's
Yeah.
like a weird hidden technical.
yeah.
It's like how we talked earlier where you only make music for musicians.
Yeah.
Tool is almost like that, but they're
Yeah.
not, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I
yeah.
mean?
It's like atmospheric
Yeah,
technicality.
it's
you
so
know?
weird
It's
because
like a vibe and
a regular
feeling to
person
you.
would listen to that, and I'm hearing all these polyrhythms and the
Yeah.
guitar player and bass player playing in different timings and shit. I'm
Yep.
hearing all this shit. I'm just like, what is going on? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But it's in this weird structure where it's got this
Yeah. Oh, Danny
Almost
Carey's
co-
is such a
commercial-
fucking monster.
commercial
you know, like-
appeal. Oh yeah,
yeah.
fucking one
And
of the goats.
Talking
dude.
about fucking guys that know how to get out of each other's way. That's one of their big, especially the
Yeah.
last couple records. I mean, like Maynard sits out now for
Yeah.
half
Yeah.
the songs and
Yeah.
shit. He's like, I don't know what to do with any of this.
He's
You
like, I
guys
got
go."
2 other bands. I don't
He's
give
like,
a
you guys
fuck."
go ahead. You know, I'll come back in on the chorus. You
Yeah.
know,
He's calling
I got a
James
thing for
Labrie.
low out back. I
Yeah.
got a 10 seat.
Yeah,
You guys
exactly.
Carry
I gotta-
on amongst
So, yeah,
yourselves.
he's calling Labrego, and you got want to go off for dinner.
What's-
We
what's
got to
on
get
your
some
charcuterie
drinks
board?
while these assholes are jamming. You know.
Yeah.
Got time.
Yeah, I fucking love Opeth. Again, that kind of prog scene, Porcupine Tree. I don't know, that's not metal either, you know, like
No, but it's cool.
metal. I mean, yeah, fucking I fucking have always loved Meshuggah, Gojira, I'm big. So it's like it's literally kind of the same. I love
Yeah.
fucking Mastodon.
Oh, yeah.
But those bands all got that thing where it's like there's melody and you know
songwriting.
Yeah, songwriting.
You ever listen to Between the Buried and Me?
Yeah, so they're on there. Like I like those guys a lot.
Okay,
I've
I
seen
was just
them live,
wondering
like,
because they're musicians metal.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
they do
Yep.
every style, everything you
Yeah.
could think of,
Yep.
you'll get in a 60-minute. It's a lot for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But like
it
if
is.
you can appreciate it for what it is,
Yeah.
like it's a 60-minute ride
Yeah.
that you could listen to 12 times in a row and never hear the same thing
I've
twice.
seen
because
them
you're like, holy fuck.
twice,
Yeah.
at least twice, maybe 2 or 3
Yeah.
times. Yeah.
Dude, they're golden
Yeah.
live too.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah,
they
those
are
guys fucking slay,
dude,
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, we may have talked about that, but you talk about like Prague, like those guys are like way the fuck out there,
yeah.
like in left field, because
They-
they're like extreme prog almost,
yeah.
you know?
Super noodly, guitars going crazy
Yeah.
and shit, you know.
Yeah.
Bust into some samba section for
Yeah.
8 measures, and then
Right.
some bluegrass section. You're like, what the fuck is
Right,
going
right,
on?
right,
And then
right, right.
Right back into some grind. You're
Love
like, what
that
the
band.
hell, man?
Yeah, those guys rule. They're one of those bands too that I like. Every time I see them live, I'm like, that was fucking sweet. But then like I've listened to the records and it's not like it's fine. You know, it's not like something that I'm like, oh, I should put on that record. But like every time I've seen them live, I've been like, these guys fucking rule.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like they sit really well next to like Opeth in terms of style. Like, I
That's
mean,
what I've seen. I saw
Dream
them,
Theater.
Opeth, and Dream Theater on a tour together.
geez.
yeah.
you know?
So, wow,
Yeah.
that'd be a day.
Yeah.
And the
You're-
band 3. You guys know the band 3?
I've heard of
No.
them. Yeah,
They're
I
kind
think
of
I've heard some of it.
they're like the singer's the brother from one of the dudes in Coheed. They're from that same
Yeah.
Oh,
New
okay.
York Coheed kind of
Okay.
scene.
Okay.
You just played Saturday?
Yeah, I guess about a week ago today, or
Yeah.
Saturday or whatever.
Yesterday
Yeah, we.
at the credit union, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh man, it was out of control. You guys been there?
No,
have not.
so I was in talks
Dude.
with the owner because I
Yeah.
wanted to link up there because they do have shows
Mhm.
there's a lot. There's not a lot of places to play around here. So
Yeah.
not only for that, but I actually kind of would like to have that dude on the show just to come talk about his venue and what he
Yeah,
plans on
yeah.
doing
He's
with
an
it,
interesting
but-
dude. I talked to him for a while.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
He's a cool guy.
So how'd it go?
It was great. Honestly, it was like goth night.
Because
you know?
I heard
Yeah.
what you said on the show. We will not repeat it here.
I
was
mean,
just funny.
we were not expecting. I mean, we literally had to like kind of grill them about being like, "Do you guys actually have a PA?" Because this band is like an industrial metal thing. We don't have amps. Like, there's literally no way we can do this without a PA. You know, so we had to kind of like figure that out. And I mean, it's a fucking basement show, dude.
Yeah.
But it was goth night, dude. And let me tell you, the fucking goths turn out, son.
Yeah?
They fucking it ended up being a great time.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
dude.
we got
Sweet.
there
That's cool.
first. So like we rolled in and we were like, oh no,
No
what
one's
have we
here.
done? You know.
It's a lot of eyeliner
There's
going
some-
on.
No, there was nobody there yet. So
Yeah.
we're
They're
like,
still
we're
sleeping.
like loading in. I know we were joking about that too. Like they're not going to show. They can't get out of the coffins.
Right, I was
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
say
You
the
know?
sun up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No wonder they're sleeping.
So we
Fucking
roll
9
in
o'clock
and
here.
we're just like, oh, we're kind of like I mean, like it's a little thing. It's just this little thing, and I don't know, dudes living there or whatever, and they just got the basement set up. Like, I mean, it's like a punk rock garage
Yep.
show or like house show style thing or whatever. But I mean, like, yeah, man, I'd rather do that. That's what I was saying. Like, I was saying to the guys on the way home, I was like, dude, we played Mulligan's a year ago to fucking nobody.
Right.
You know, I'd rather play this to a bunch of people
Yeah.
than fucking some other venue where nobody's at.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so like, yeah, we had a fucking blast. It was a
That's
good time.
cool as fuck, man.
Yeah.
It's good to hear.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I love when you play shows like that where you almost have this expectation and it's not
Yeah.
a good one.
Right. Yeah.
And
yeah,
then
yeah.
you like get there and then like when the show's over, you're like, that was a fucking
Yeah. Yeah.
banger.
Yeah,
like,
that popped off.
And
Well,
the
partially
fucking,
for stuff like that too, like people are going there for that thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
As
yeah,
opposed to the
yeah.
music being an ancillary reason.
Yeah.
Like you're going to Mulligan's, you might be going to get hammered and drink
be
a
in the
flaming
front,
shot.
yeah.
And, oh, there's
Yeah.
a band here, by the way. Versus like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we are going to this place to listen to this band.
Right.
The
Yeah,
goth
you
scene,
know?
man, they got that community thing going on too. We went to we went and saw Stabbing Westward in Detroit at the goth club there a couple months ago. I like those guys from the '90s or whatever.
Sure.
And it's like the same thing. Like they got that fucking community thing, dude. Like everybody's super nice. Like everybody's cool. It was cool at that venue too because it's kind of like being a house party. Basically, it's kind of like BYOB,
Yeah.
BYO, whatever you want to bring. You know
Right.
what I mean? And like
Yeah.
everybody's passing shit. You know, it was
cool.
It was pretty cool.
Oh,
So
yeah.
the community aspect was pretty dope.
That's badass, man.
Yeah.
What about the other bands there?
So we only saw 2 other bands. We played second.
Okay.
And so we saw the band that, I guess, opened the show or whatever.
Yeah.
They were from Detroit. They're called the Sad Hour. They're kind of like, come on, the Sad Hour. They're like, you can picture it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not mocking
Surprisingly
on those guys.
uplifting,
But, you know, they're doing fucking, The Cure. You know,
Okay.
they're doing
Yeah.
the Cure thing. You know,
Yeah.
and so then we played, and we're an industrial metal thing.
Yeah.
And then the band after us played, and sorry, I forget their name, but they were really good. And then
That's cool.
we had to bail because Mike, our guy, he had his son with him because it's all ages kind
Yeah.
of thing. So it's not every show he can bring
Right.
his like
That makes
13-year-old
sense.
son or whatever. So
Right.
he had to get back, and those guys are in Lansing, so he had to get back to
Oh,
Lansing.
totally
so,
understandable.
so
man.
we had
Yeah.
to bail. But
Hell yeah. That's cool, man. I'm glad it went well. Like,
Yeah, it was
'cause I didn't really know. Like I said, I've been in talks with
yeah,
the guy. Just
Yeah,
I'd like
yeah.
to get him on the show
Yeah.
and talk about his thing because
Well-
he's always having shows there.
Right,
And he was
yeah,
like,
all the
anytime you
time.
want, and he's like, anytime you want to book your band there, let me know. I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, that's really all I needed.
sounds
to
like
say,
some of the
you
other
know?
guys were like, I mean, a lot of these shows are like they're hardcore and punk shows
Yeah.
and stuff. And I mean, like
Yeah.
the band played after us. I mean, we went back down when we were loading out and shit. And I mean, it was fucking like a mosh pit. Like,
Oh.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
so I mean, they were kind of telling us like some of these shows can get pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's like ice pick style,
Yeah.
fucking, you know,
Yeah.
Yep.
that kind
It's
of. thing.
good. It's good for Muskegon though,
Yeah.
because we only have a handful of places we can play, and
Exactly.
that's one of
Yeah.
them. So
Yeah.
we want to
Yeah,
keep it thriving and keep it alive. you
yeah.
know,
So
for
it's
sure.
it's the guys. They're called the Darkness Underground that actually ran that show. So they're not the owners of the venue, but they're like I don't know what you call it, a community. They're like the goth community, like
promoters. And,
promoters. They
yeah.
got the group. They do these group events and
Okay.
whatever in that scene, and they were like super cool. So I'm actually talking to them, but you could probably get them on your pod too. Like
Oh, cool.
they're out of Chicago, super
Nice.
nice people, and they're kind of building that scene. you
So
know,
how did you get the show? How long after midnight get?
They actually got a hold of us. So my guess was that they Googled up industrial rock in Grand Rapids, West Michigan,
Oh.
or whatever. I mean, there's not a ton, you know. So
Yeah.
like, they found us some way or another and just sent us a message. I mean, it was like a while ago, you know. So yes, that's them. Yep.
Sweet.
So
Yep.
you in that project, are you playing guitar and singing?
I'm just singing,
Just
but
singing?
the new it's kind of a long story. But our guitarist moved to California, so
okay,
and that's
I remember
part
you
of,
telling me that before.
yeah. So we like kind of like don't have so we do have like a guitarist or a couple now, but the new record that we're working on now, which should be out next year, I did all the guitars on that, sort of out of necessity,
okay,
because like we just couldn't find a guy to like step into that role. So I was just like, well, fuck it, we'll just do, because we were playing shows and then our guitarist left, and then we were like, well, I guess we're making a new album now, because you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like we can't
What else are we
gig,
gonna do? Yeah.
you know? So like we just started doing that again, and I was just kind of like, well, fuck it. I just had set up the new spot. I had all my amps and everything going. So it was also like, I want to fucking record some guitars because I got all this shit set up. So
Right.
I just kind of started and was like, well, I guess I'm doing it.
okay.
But I don't intend to. I don't want to. You know, I don't want to be doing all of it, you know?
Yeah,
Sure.
I get that, man.
Yeah.
So what's going on with the Dangerville podcast? You guys introduced the video.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
guys are
yeah.
on the tube, like actual visual YouTube now.
Yeah. And
Uh,
Spotify. It's a video on Spotify
Yeah,
too.
yeah. Yep,
Because
we knew that.
of the fucking Joe Rogan thing,
Yeah.
they had to figure out how to do video on
Yeah,
there.
I think
so
they did that just for him.
yeah, literally,
Yep.
they had to create that in their platform. So
Yep.
yeah.
So what do you got coming up? You know what I want to do before you answer that question? I wanted to steal all you guys' sounds off the internet and put them on my pad right here.
Yeah.
Dangerville presents
Yeah.
news of the world. And you gotta be like, these fucking hacks, man.
We'll be flagging that on YouTube
Indeed,
immediately. Just
indeed.
filing a complaint like, no, this isn't gonna fly.
These motherfuckers.
We spent hundreds of hours building tens of listeners across the state. We can't possibly have these sound bites compromised. But
No, but you just had reinventing on. I listened to the Verve Pipe episode, or that guy was in Verve Pipe,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
that was
yeah.
kind of interesting because our buddy Dane from If He
Yeah.
Dies was just touring with them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
As,
So-
as their drummer. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was drumming for him. That's
Yeah,
badass.
just- I think they go through drummers.
yeah, they do.
Like they just
yeah.
whoever can
It's
tour with us.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
kind of a revolving
Yeah.
act now or whatever.
Yeah,
You know?
but I seen he was just touring with him. He said he was going to take the gig, but that's how he makes money. He's a
yeah,
professional
fuck
drummer.
yeah, dude.
So
that's
what he
a nice
does.
gig, dude. I'd
Yeah.
take that gig.
Yeah, that's what he
Yeah.
said.
we had the current guitarist from the Verve Pipe on too, Lou.
Okay,
Uh,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure I listened to that one too.
Pretty
like
much
I said,
everybody
I
knows Lou.
usually
He's
don't
killer.
miss an episode of
Yeah.
you guys' pod, so I always listen to them.
Yeah, it's
I
good shit.
appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
We got some cool guests coming up. I don't know if there's anybody I can really. We do got a good string of comedians still going on here. I got some other bands and some other kind of like, sort of trying to get some other. I don't know, more variety of people
Yeah,
doing other cool
conversations
things.
going. Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
so like
'Cause
I'm
that's-
working
that's-
on that.
That's kind of you guys' pod. I mean, for the most part, we
Yeah.
had you guys on. You guys got the pod, but you guys, like I said, you guys are fucking brothers. But we had Michael on. You know, he
Mhm.
did the haunted thing,
Yeah.
and it's a local thing, so
yeah,
it's like
yeah.
cool
Yeah.
for us to help promote. And it's kind of metal adjacent when you
Yeah,
start talking
exactly.
about haunted
Yeah.
houses and shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, ultimately,
kinda-
we're just trying to like do whatever's a fun conversation.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like
Talk
fun,
about
cool,
anybody
interesting
cool.
shit. It's like I don't
Yeah.
know that the genre or type of convo necessarily matters. It's just like who's easy to talk to.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
who wants to have a good time. Because
Yeah.
really, at the ultimately, you know, at the end of the day, it's just like a hobby, something to do for
Right.
fun.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We're drinking and having fun.
But you
talking
guys,
about-
I mean, you guys are geared towards a lot of comedians, and I kind of heard you say something about maybe going out to do like some live stuff or whatever. But would that be kind of where you guys, like, if you had to pick a niche, it'd probably be comedy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I typically
I know
say
you're
we're
a
a
huge
comedy
musician,
show.
so it's kind of like
it just makes more sense. I mean, it's like what's Joe Rogan's show? Is it a comedy show?
It's a
You know what I
whatever,
mean?
I
Exactly. That's what
guess.
it's got.
Yeah.
You have to pick a genre to even
Yeah.
just for the promotion. So I usually
Yeah.
say it's comedy, music, pop culture. But
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
that's
we
what
got
I would say. Pop
people
culture.
talking about paranormal shit on there, like
Yeah.
anybody, you know, anything that either of us are interested in, and just like whatever. Again, just like, are you a cool person?
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
that's
and
really
I
it.
think for the sake of podcast, most people just want to hear the conversation unfold as an interesting topic.
Yeah.
And it can be about anything. So you can be a variety show if you want to go with that. But more than anything, people don't want to hear like a dry conversation that's just like nuts and bolts.
NPR.
yeah.
Yeah. They
Oh,
want
it ain't that. It
Yeah.
ain't that. We get off the fucking rails
Yeah.
sometimes.
No, I love it.
No, sometimes I'll be laughing my ass off at you guys because I
Yeah.
just hear Ross's fucking laugh and it just
Yeah.
cracks me up because there's just a laugh or
Yeah.
you'd be laughing so hard about something
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
motherfuckers.
There has
I
been
just-
some legitimately fucking hilarious shit.
Oh,
on
yeah,
there
yeah, yeah.
Before, like, where I'm just like in tears. Some of the shit. Some
Fuck
people
at your
said,
birthday. That wasn't a podcast, but I wish we
Oh,
had
man.
that out. 'cause that
Seriously,
was
dude.
fucking,
Mike's
dude. I
feeling
ain't
for
laughed
that
that
for
hard in a
sure.
long time.
Seriously,
dude.
man.
We
There,
were-
there was a run there about
Ro-
fucking shout out to Beat Up and
yeah,
his
roasting
fucking
him on
pillows,
his
dude.
pillows and stuff.
Oh
Like,
my
it was
God.
so funny.
That was
dude.
literally
It
one of the
fucking-
funniest. Like, and
Yeah.
everybody had fucking great lines on
Yeah.
that shit. It was so funny, man.
Yeah.
That was a good night. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that was cool as fuck.
I think the most important thing is like just keep the conversation organic, right? Like people
Yeah.
can sniff that shit out when it's manufactured
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah,
you're trying to
yeah.
go down this specific path and all this stuff. It's like just
Yeah.
have fucking fun.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
that's kind of different with our show. I kind of
Yeah.
have shit mapped out, you know, and it's
Yeah.
like I don't want to rely on that all the time. Like I only had a few things I wanted to talk to you guys about, and I figured
Right.
we go where we go.
Yeah.
But when we have bands on, I have specific things I want
Right,
to know,
right.
you know.
Yeah, it
and,
does depend on the
and I'm
guest.
thinking about their audience, what they want
Right,
to know about
right,
them.
right.
So
Yeah.
that's
But it's
what
still
I need
done
to
in an
know.
organic way, I would
Yeah,
say.
exactly.
Right? Like
It
when I
could
listen
lead
to you guys'
anywhere.
podcast-
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel manufactured.
I
Like
know.
you can
Okay.
have set questions without
Right.
it being this super rigid thing. I mean, there's a
Yeah,
difference
yeah.
between having structure and like here's some cool shit we want to know about
Yeah,
versus
Depending on who it is, I'll kind of have like a few things maybe that like I know I want to talk about, and usually we'll also have few things that's going on right now that we're just
Oh.
going to talk about no matter what. So
Yeah,
it's like
like
what's
pop-
happening. Like last
Yeah.
night we talked about the fucking new Linkin Park singer. You know,
Okay.
that's like that's
Yeah.
what's happening. You know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
everybody's got huge opinions. You know
Yep.
what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just kind of like it doesn't even matter who it is. We're going to talk about this
What-
regardless,
Kinda like,
whoever's
yeah.
on. You know,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
whatever's
it's kind of like that.
We just touched on that, and they're obviously not an extreme metal band or a metal band whatsoever, really, but it's like
Yeah.
so big in the music world right
Yeah.
now. It's like,
That's exactly.
all right,
yeah.
let's real quick drop in on this just so that we can say we said something about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Here's our opinions. We'll air them out.
Exactly.
So with respect to like your guys' show being like the variety comedy bit, and we're just like focused on music, what is your guys' feelings about like the funny music when you're talking about like Tenacious D or Death Clock? Is that so? I before you answer this question, I hate doing this, but I'm gonna answer the question first.
Yeah.
I usually can't stand that stuff.
Uh-huh.
Something about my being doesn't allow me to like enjoy music in that capacity. I don't really want to laugh at it or with it, and that my friends will put it on and I'll enjoy it when
Yeah.
they put it on.
Yeah.
But never do I put on something like that's musical and funny at the same time. It's
Mhm.
just something about the way I'm wired. I can't really bring myself to do it. Do you either? You're wearing the shirt, so Matt, I'll go to you
Yeah.
first. How do you feel about the stuff that is both musical and comedic in its art?
I'll say I'm not a huge fan of stuff that is intentionally made to be funny, like the Tenacious D type deal.
Okay.
Not exactly my bag, right?
Sure.
Like I'm a little bit more of a purist when it comes to music, at least rock, right? Like
Right.
I want to hear the music. I'm sitting down and listen to music. If I want to catch some comedy shit, I'll watch a movie.
Right.
Having said that, if you've got some great funny lines like this, we're both kind of like, you know, mid 90s hip hop guys, both big Snoop Dogg fans,
Right.
which isn't comedy per se, But like Dre and
there's
Snoop
tons
has
of
some of the
comedy.
funniest
Yeah.
shit ever written.
Yeah,
You know,
for
it's
sure,
stuff
man.
that you're just
Yeah.
cracking up. Like it's not
Yeah.
that genre.
Eminem
but
too,
yeah.
or whatever. Like
Oh,
all
yeah.
these guys. Yeah.
So if you're able to kind of do it funny in the context of what you're doing, that's awesome. But like, am I
Yeah.
going to personally sit down and listen to like Tenacious D or some of that type of stuff? Not necessarily.
Yeah,
Right.
Tenacious D's never really been my jam either. I saw them guys live too with actually with fucking what are they, Weezer and Jimmy Eat World. This is like in way
Okay.
back in the day, you
Yep.
know, like yeah, that kind of thing's never really been. But like, you know, I saw fucking Flight of the Conchords at Bonnaroo and they were hilarious. But that's a comedy. I guess they're all comedy shows, but like I don't know. So like, but it's not something I throw on.
Right.
Death Clock's a little different, where it's kind of like
It's real tongue in cheek, and it's right
Yeah.
there on the border where
Yeah.
it passes almost as the
Yeah,
art
but
itself.
it also owns, like they also like fucking kill. I mean, they got
Rule.
Gene Hoglan and shit. I mean,
Yes.
it's like so it's got like the credibility, but like they're also
What was the other one?
joking.
Yeah, Austrian Death Machine. was
But
the other
the
one.
music isn't comical. It's just kind of what
Yeah.
he's saying and what
Yeah,
he's
the
singing
lyrics.
about. So
Yeah.
it's
Right.
kind of
That's-
like almost
it-
weird because the music
Right.
is so fucking
That
serious.
that's
with
like
Death Clock, you know?
satire because
Yeah.
you know it's kind of
Yeah.
making fun of or with the metal
Yes.
community or whatever. And that's
Sure.
why metalheads love it because
Yeah.
everybody get they're
Yeah. It's funny.
yeah,
Like,
Dimmu Burger fucking
Yeah.
thing where they're getting the you know, like there's all these little you know, like things that you just like metal. It's a show by a metalhead for metalheads. you
Yeah.
know, like it's everybody
Yeah.
loved it.
Yeah.
But again, like Tool being my favorite band, Tool has tons of comedy in it.
Yeah.
Maynard's shit has tons of comedy in it, especially the earlier Tool, where he even talks about like Tool started going in a bit different direction, and that's why he does shit like Pussifer and stuff now
Right.
that has a way more comedic element to
Oh,
it.
okay.
I mean, their most popular song is about shoving your fist up somebody's ass.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
you know, they have songs about whatever
Hooker
California
with a penis.
yeah,
Yeah.
a song called "Hooker with a Penis." Like, there's
Yeah.
so many comedic elements of
Yeah.
all of that stuff. I mean, he used to go out on stage wearing fake tits or wearing the priest costume, and I
Yeah.
mean, like, literally doing quasi stand up.
Yeah.
The guy from Opeth is hilarious on stage between songs. Like, that's a bit of his shtick too. So,
Sure.
like, I don't know. There's a place for it and everything, but like when it's I don't know. I think just Tenacious D just kind of sucks.
Sure.
So
That's like
so,
the music. Sorry, before you
No,
jump
go
in,
ahead.
like
Go ahead,
the
bud.
music's ultimately got to be good, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if you can create good music that also has you laughing, double bonus, right?
Yeah,
but like
sure.
I don't want to go there specifically to listen to something that's going to make me laugh. I'm like, I
music-
want it to be a standalone thing that I enjoy listening to, and oh, by the way, I'm also laughing my ass
Yeah,
off
when it's
while it's happening.
when it's like
you know?
music to jokes, it's you lost me right there.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I can't
I-
do it.
so for me, I feel like the novelty wears off. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I heard it once, oh, that's fucking cool. It's funny as fuck.
Right.
But I don't ever want to put it on again because I
Right.
kind of already
You already
know
heard-
the
yeah.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I already know it's funny. Like if I'm showing somebody, listen to Jack Black and Kyle, they're doing cock push-ups. This is funny. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I'm not in my
Yes,
car being
yeah.
like listening to that skit of them doing.
That's
cock
kind of all
push-ups. You know what I
comedy
mean?
when
Like,
it's- yeah. That's why you
it's
can't
just one
like,
of those things. Like even back in the day, the Adam Sandler CD where
Yeah.
like fucking,
which I
how many-
loved those.
Oh yeah, like
yeah.
how many times could you listen to it? I could.
To me, it
more
was a
than
lot.
once.
that was one for me. That was
Dude,
it was a big one.
Fucking, there's a little off topic, but the new Adam Sandler special is incredible.
Is it
dude.
good?
It's so
Yeah,
fucking
nice.
good,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
god, the jokes are great.
Good for
the
him.
whole production behind the whole spiel of what he's
Nice,
doing.
nice.
It's like shit's fucking up the whole time, but it's on purpose because it's a whole production. It's funny. He comes out with the songs. He's playing the bass. He's
Yeah.
playing the guitar.
Yeah, he always
the
did
songs
comedy
are
song-
fucking
yeah.
funny as
Yeah.
fuck, dude. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't put on the album.
yeah.
right.
Like going for a
Right.
walk after this. I'm
Right.
not going to listen to Sandler.
I usually play the Thanksgiving song on Thanksgiving. Yeah, you know.
I mean, he's had some classics. I just feel
Yeah.
like Flight of the Conchords or Tenacious D. That was kind of, they had the visual element, the
Yeah.
TV show to go along with. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
songs made sense, and you
Yep.
see him kind of rocking, and so it's kind of cool. It's about music,
Right.
but like just listening to it, like I know a dude,
Same.
fucking Deegan, he would listen to Tenacious D all the time. I'm like, dude, after
I
like the
know.
second time, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm kind of
Yeah.
good on it.
It's
Like,
kind of
you
like that
know?
with all
Yeah.
comedy. That's why you
Yeah.
can't like repeat jokes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Once
Yeah.
you already know the joke,
Yeah.
you know, like the
Yeah.
punchline isn't gonna land again.
Yeah. Like you watch the stand up,
Yeah.
but you're not going to go back and usually watch it again unless it's like 5
Yeah.
years later. And
It's
you're
like
like,
comedians-
I really
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
that, you know?
They can't put their material online. That's why they only put like crowd work online.
Yeah.
You know, but you can't actually put your actual bits on there. Or nobody would come see your actual
Right.
bits.
Like at the end of the day, how many jokes can you crack about Brendan Fraser being
Yeah,
funny
dude.
before it stops?
I
being
think there's
funny,
more.
you know? Yeah.
I think
There's
more
more
than
in
you
there.
think.
There's more in there.
Couple more layers to that. Don't you?
I think there's more than you
Keep
think.
digging. Keep digging.
This is isn't a metal topic, but I heard you guys talk about this on your show. The new Eminem is fucking incredible.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
love
care
it.
what anybody says.
I love like the last. I love the fucking music to be murdered by shit.
Yeah,
people,
me too.
people talking about Eminem like this is a comeback or something. I'm like, music to be murdered by. It's like
Kamikaze was insanely
Kamikaze was
sweet.
fucking insane. I loved it, man.
I thought Recovery was a comeback. I mean, that was years ago. That was
Right.
Like 20
Well,
years.
Recovery.
That's
and
the one
then-
everybody hates, right? I'm like, I thought it was pretty decent. It was maybe a little.
I think it was
schlocky,
the
but,
one after
yeah.
that everybody hated, where
Okay.
it was like super pop. He had Ed Sheeran and shit on it. It was the
Uh-huh.
one after Recovery,
okay,
because the
okay.
Recovery we still had like the pop singers on the choruses and
Yeah,
stuff. But like,
yeah.
I still a lot of good music there and critically acclaimed. But it was the
Right.
one after that
Okay.
kind of has a flag or something on it, I think, or whatever.
Was it
about-
Relapse? Is
No, that was
after?
before
that. Was
That's
before
what I know. That's why I
Recovery.
think it was Recovery. That's the one everybody hates. But I don't know.
But yeah, anyway, he's been on a tear. I heard you guys talk a little bit about it on the
Yeah.
show. And I thought it was
Lyrically, the guy's
I loved
just
it.
insane, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Always
about
been
as good as anybody that's
He's
Yeah.
always
ever
been a
done it.
genius
Yeah.
with the lyrics and the pen.
Yep.
I
And
love it.
again, so much of that shit's so funny
It's the
too.
wordplay.
You know, but it makes
Yeah.
context
Hilarious.
within the tunes.
Yeah.
Side note on that, dude, I heard this song come up yesterday. I'm listening to Pandora. I'm like, what is this? This is a banger. I go down and look at it. It is none other than LL Cool J and Eminem.
He's
on
LL
soundtrack,
Cool J's got a
which
new record coming out.
rips, dude.
Yeah.
It's a bang.
Nice. Good, yeah.
Oh,
I think
man.
a lot of people underestimate Cool J.
Yeah,
bro.
dude.
He
Yeah.
always has been
Yeah,
better. Like people
for
know him
sure,
from
man.
Mama Said Knock You Out, but like
Yeah, there was
his,
tons of shit.
he
dude.
goes way deeper than that, man.
He's
like
another
his
great
vocal-
example
Yeah,
of
dude.
somebody who's kind of one of those foundational
Yeah.
like
Yeah, he
early
really
guys
is.
and probably
Yeah.
doesn't get the credit he deserves. And other he
Yeah.
was granted wildly popular, but like other people definitely
Right,
surpassed
yeah.
him pretty quickly in terms of popularity.
Was that
But, like,
Back
the
to
dude laid a lot of the
California or whatever?
groundwork,
Remember
and-
that song?
Yeah.
Going Back to California? I don't
Yeah.
think so. Or whatever. That's a great jam. He's got a lot of good songs.
It's kind of like that. Sometimes that one hit wonder is it kind of fuck you up, you know. Like you
Yeah.
had that Mama Said Knock You Out, and most
Yeah.
people that are casual listeners only know that
Right,
song,
right,
or
Yeah.
only know "Hi, My Name Is" by Eminem or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like it's just the casuals at that time. So
Hell yeah.
cool. What's next for Dangerville, boys? What do you guys got coming up next? Anything?
Kind of the same old
Just
shit.
Coming
really,
up
as
on
far
the
as
big
the
100th episode,
coming up
man.
there.
It's
Yeah.
Anything
pretty
special
exciting.
planned for that?
We're trying to figure out who we want to be the guest. We were kind of thinking about trying to do some shit, but it's probably not going to work out. We're having some scheduling issues, honestly.
Oh,
But, so yeah, right now we're kind of thinking about like, we want to bring back some of the maybe classic guests. Maybe we'll have on, multiple people, which is usually gets fucking out of hand.
Yeah.
It doesn't make for the best podcast,
No.
but it's a fun time.
Yeah.
We get
so
4 people in the room in addition to ourselves, so sometimes it's just
it's
like
a lot,
oh,
dude.
yeah.
too much talking at once.
Yeah,
and
we've
we know
done
that.
6 and a producer,
Right.
So it's like, woo, nobody can hear a goddamn thing.
Yeah.
Well, you guys have a pod, so you know how it is, and sometimes you just gotta not say anything, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's hard because you want to fill that air, or you
Yeah.
just want to agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, if you have somebody that's never really been on a podcast, or it's their first podcast, they'll just fucking talk over everybody. They don't care. They're just talking because they want to hear themselves in the headphones.
It's a new thing.
Can't wait to listen back to myself.
Yeah, talk over everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
you kind of got to know your time and place. But 100th episode, man, that's fucking cool.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah,
And
so
he-
many wasted hours at the end of
Yeah.
the day.
Hey,
Could have been
man.
doing something productive all this time.
Dude, how much fun are you having though? You know,
a lot.
Oh, it's
a lot of
blast.
fun.
Yeah.
Any plans for growth besides the current format? I mean, I know you added Brian to the mix. Are there any other ways that you're looking at, like growing the show? Or
Yeah, we might start actually trying to do. We don't promote like at all, like literally none.
Sure.
Like we don't like. The only thing I do is put it on our Facebook page, which
Right.
nobody. But I'm not promoting anything. So like maybe we'll get somebody to like. I'm not a big social media guy. None of
Sure.
us really are.
Right.
So like we're just we're like, maybe we'll find somebody to actually kind of like start doing some of that for us, and maybe actually trying to get some views, but nothing concrete going yet.
Can't
but that
have
would be the
B-Man
only
help
thing.
you out with any of that stuff, or
It's just honestly we're all so fucking busy,
Yeah.
dude.
Yeah,
We
he's
all
a
got
busy guy.
real jobs
Yeah.
and
Right.
things. Like the amount of time that I can put into it's the amount of time I'm putting in.
It gets
I
down
get
to being
it.
hours in the day thing,
Yeah,
right? Like, it's
yeah.
do you do the podcast or do you promote the podcast that you no
Yeah.
longer
Yep,
have time
yep.
to do because you're trying to do all the
Sure.
other shit?
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
we fucking
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, for sure.
Gotta go grocery shopping.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we know for
Gotta
sure.
eat.
And I'm still doing music too, so it's like trying to like balance that too. Like I still want to like actually finish some songs and shit. So it's like there's a trying to find a balance there too, like not just doing a podcast. Like
Right.
all right,
Well,
finish
and-
some songs.
With anything that you're like really invested in as a hobby, you never want to burn it out, right?
Exactly.
You don't want to get to that point where I'm fucking sick of the Dangerville podcast and all the extra work I got to put into it. It's not fun.
When it becomes a work thing, and not a hobby, that's no bueno.
Yeah. So I mean, we're definitely not there yet. Jay and I will always hang out after the fact, and we'll geek out about like ideas, and then we're like, man, we got a lot of ideas. Now we got to prioritize the ideas.
Ideas
for
are one
sure,
thing,
man.
execution's
Ideas are
another.
cheap. It's execution. Yeah, that's what matters.
And then you got to execute like the right idea, because you don't want to start putting energy into something where it's like, well, this isn't helping.
Right.
All of a sudden, this has just become a thing that we do, and it's not really showing any kind of.
This is more of a time suck.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly.
So
and that's a tough thing, because I've been writing a lot of music lately too. We just finished writing some stuff for Iron, but I'm writing some stuff that Nick and I are working on.
Nice,
So we have like some shit that we've been working on.
Right.
And I've been trying to like stay diligent on doing it a lot.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, like I'm to the mindset that I'm just gonna go record something. If it's not great, cool. At least I got the idea out.
Yep.
But if you're not in that mode by just going to grab your guitar and sit in front of the computer, it's so easy to not do that.
Yep.
And then it's like you got the podcast, and then I got the band too. So I totally understand like trying to find that balance of like making and being creative and doing music, but at the same time doing other shit too. You know.
Yeah.
So
A lot of balls to keep in the air, and like you want to be able to have that wide spectrum of stuff, but also you need enough time to devote to it to hopefully make it like semi good. You know, you can't spread yourself too thin.
Yeah,
on that
exactly. Yeah, and I feel like I don't know if we're getting into that with our little news show, but we just kind of like we just want to put out content, you know. And, we film so far out that anything we say today is almost irrelevant in 4 weeks. It could be, you know what I mean? That's the bad thing. Like, so we don't like with Michael. That was not here before. Like I said, we got to slide his episode in so it makes sense.
Yeah.
Other than that, we got 6 episodes sitting in YouTube right now that now I just have to change the order, like the actual title of the episode, because now it's not episode 65 because I have to slide dude in or whatever. You know what I mean?
Right.
You guys
So
got
it's
the
like,
Hawk to a Girl episode. So I haven't even released that yet.
Yeah, we knew Hawk to a Girl before she got famous. That's how long.
shit.
Yeah, that's how long the queue is.
She's got a podcast now, so make sure you go listen to that. We'll be her first guest. Yeah, they should have us. She sent us a case of her complimentary Hawk to a fucking hot sauce.
Hot sauce. Hawk to a hot sauce.
That's next.
A little bit of Hawk to in every bottle.
Well, shit, boys. I mean, I'm so glad you guys came over. Fucking, I have nothing but love for you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are fucking shit. You know, fucking, we didn't necessarily get the idea from you guys, but it was cool to be on your show, and it was just something that I've kind of had this idea for a while now. But you know, we're very focused on the. You guys cover so much stuff that we don't even talk about. We're very niche when it comes to who we know our audience is and who's listening. But
talking about styles, influences, what gear you use, what show, what venue. Like it does get kind of repetitive, but every band's got their own answers, so it's always different in that regard.
Yeah.
And
I
we
get
know
talking about gear, man. That's my favorite fucking topic.
It's-
Instead of talking to somebody on our shit about gear, like everybody else is falling asleep.
Yeah, I start disassociating.
Yeah, that's like, dude, I don't fucking know.
Same though. Like I'm a musician, and I just start disassociating when people start talking gear. I'm like, good night. Well, like
When we're getting into the size of the 5th splash cymbal, it's like, okay, we can. How do you prefer the 8-inch?
do you like get the protractor out to measure the angle of the cymbal? Like, what degree is it at?
And I love gear, but I've never been that guy where it's like, I play an Ibanez GR78. Do you have? Oh, you got the 7.6?
Right.
Oh, you got the Pod MF425? I'm like, I can't remember none of that
I'm
shit.
so bad
like,
at the names, the numbers.
I got
and
that
shit.
black thing that just came out. It sounds pretty sweet. It is a Pod Line 6 pedal.
I played the guitar.
Yeah. It's like some people are like, "Oh, you got the SM da da da." I'm just like, "No, I don't fucking know, dude."
You tell me.
I'm bad with model numbers, that's for sure.
Yeah. But some people like Addison Eilers,
Oh, dude, he's
like, dude, he fucking knows everything.
I know, man.
Dude.
I
Just like,
nerd out with him still, dude.
Yeah.
Fucking, we were just talking about microphones and shit. You know? Like,
he fucking knows so much shit.
He's
dude.
an electronics fucking
knowledgeable cat,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
he
forgot
rules.
you guys had him on, huh?
Yeah. I talked to him quite a bit about gears and shit still. Cause
Dude, he's
you know?
yeah. He's out in GR now too.
Yeah.
He's got a little studio out there and shit.
Yeah, he's working with Rick Johnson at Cold War.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if you know Rick from
No, I don't know him, but
Whack Trucks fame back in the day.
Oh, okay.
Rick Trucks,
Yes.
Muskegon.
Yeah, we're about to record soon, so that might be the place we at least go do drums because we need somewhere to do drums. I'm
Come
not
do
doing
drums at my place. What the
Okay.
fuck?
I'm not doing drums
That's
here.
That's what I built it for.
Because
Fuck Addison and Rick. No.
Fuck those guys.
I just won't show him that when he comes back on the show.
Oh, definitely show him.
Yeah.
Definitely
Okay,
show
I
him.
will.
Yeah.
But
First thing.
but yeah, we're kind of in the pre-production stage. We got
Yeah.
everything written finally. We
Yeah.
just got to I know who I want to mix the record and master the record. I just
Yeah.
want to go somewhere, a good room, and record drums.
Yeah.
I don't want to do it here, and I
Yeah.
don't want to fuck with it. Like,
Yeah.
this is my podcast room now.
Yeah.
Don't really want to put
Right.
drums
Just
in here.
rip it all
Right.
apart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just did the Colt
Yeah.
Snuffer, 4 or 5 songs for them, and that wasn't that bad
Right.
because it's just Larry's little drums. I don't
Yeah.
want to haul all Adam's shit in here and hook up all my mics and
Your
shit.
neighbors
dude.
thank
I
you
don't-
for that
yeah.
decision. by the way.
They've never said anything,
Yeah.
but we also don't have
Yeah.
full-on jam sessions here, so
Right.
we'll see if that ever happened.
Right,
Fucking
right.
what they would say. 'Cause
Yeah,
we got
that's
the
what I
full-on
built my
session.
room for, was basically doing drums, because it's that's the thing. That's like kind of the hardest part
Yeah.
to like, figure out where and how to do. And all my friends' bands are saying that, we don't know where to do drums. You can go to like a pro studio and it's a lot of money. And honestly, you don't get as good of a result as if you like are working. You don't have the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
Yeah.
yeah, they know what they're doing and they can throw mics up, but they don't have time to sit there and like go through all your mics on the kick drum and try to really
The
lock
best
in the
one.
sound you're looking
Yeah.
for
Right.
your thing. It's more like you got so many hours, go in, set up, and start tracking.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've done a couple sessions there, and I got a couple more on the books, and I just added 8 more channels too.
Oh,
so
nice.
that's a big
Nice.
upgrade in my
Well,
studio.
I didn't know that was an option, so I'll talk to the guys. We might
Yes,
be coming
sir.
to do drums with you, maybe
Yeah.
too, if that's because I just don't want to do it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
like, I just
do
don't want
wanna
to fuck
do it.
with. Like,
Yeah.
I would love to be there while you do it.
Oh,
and
yeah,
help you
no,
out
yeah,
with
yeah,
shit,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
for
but I
sure,
just
yeah.
don't want to tear my room down, put in
Yeah,
drums,
no, yeah.
and then fucking I'm committed to recording drums, and then I'm committed to recording everything else, even though we're
Right.
sending it somewhere else.
Yep,
That's just
yep.
one more fucking thing I have to do, and I just don't
Yeah.
want to do that
Right.
anymore. Like,
Yeah,
I have no interest in
my
that.
mic collection's getting out of hand. To be honest with you, I got some killer mics now, and all killer preamps.
Do you have the 7.4 BR?
I do. I got that one.
I do.
I got
I
all
do.
of them, bro. I got all of them. Believe me. Yeah.
the Shure MF
Yep.
69er. Yeah.
That
I had-
MF69 hits.
That motherfucker.
Can't
man.
go wrong with that.
Anybody
one.
listening to this, if you're looking for a place to record, my room's open.
Okay.
I haven't started like promoting
Hell
it
yeah.
or whatever. That's what I built it for. It's an extremely high-end tracking room is basically the goal. So like
Cool.
this, the shit's really like high-end mics, high-end pre's, high-end converters, no bullshit. Like that's what I built it for, was to track.
So you
Okay.
built it. It also it almost goes without saying, like, so this production aspect of your life is a huge thing that you're into. You love
Oh,
it.
yeah.
You love producing.
I'm obsessed with
You,
being in the studio.
you just love
dude.
getting in front of that
That's
monitor
my-
and fucking
That's my thing. Yep.
manipulating. Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I call it like the man behind the curtain or feel the dreams. Once you cross that line, like I just want to perform right and be a musician.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like production to me is like the opposite of being creative. Now, it isn't necessarily,
Yeah.
because I know you can do a lot of creative things in it,
Yeah.
but it's outside of my wheelhouse, and I feel like it's like a thing for me. It's like a wall where I can't break through. I should. It's not that difficult. I've done it before. I've fucked around in GarageBand and whatever, but
Yeah.
like you're way light years
Oh,
beyond
yeah.
like fucking GarageBand.
I like I'm not really, I can mix. I don't count myself as a mixer. My thing's producing, like working with the artist.
Mm.
So that's really where my strengths are, is like getting the best takes. Like I can work with the artist because I know how to play most things, so I can like
Sure.
actually give good advice, and
Yeah.
like pretty good at talking to people. So like keeping the headspace correct,
Yeah.
and doing the actual tracking for the record.
Okay.
I don't typically, I certainly have, but usually even my own productions, I'm usually sending them to somebody else to mix.
Yeah.
So people usually have their wheelhouse. I know so many great mixes, and so many of my friends, that's their favorite part. They're like, I don't want to do the tracking because that gets boring. You're sitting there,
Yeah.
doing takes.
Yeah,
Sometimes
how
you're
many
working with somebody who
times?
sucks, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy, and that's what I kind of again built my studio. Like it's not really like a mix room,
Sure.
like the actual
Yeah.
control room. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like, so yeah, that's kind of my thing.
I
let's
handle
go-
all finances, so you can just come to me directly for
Yep.
the payment. And
Yep.
All right, cool.
Shay's
Well,
my
I was-
Kinda
general
my
manager.
wheelhouse.
All right. I guess I'll pay you for studio
Yep.
time at his
Wait a
place.
minute.
So-
Let's talk about this.
Oh, that's good to know, though, man. You being a drummer too, you know it sounds good on the drums, and that's the biggest thing for me is I want someone else's ear there. Like I know how to get
Yeah.
a pretty good drum sound, but like I want them toms thick and
Yeah.
juicy, man. I want them bitches
Yeah.
slapping.
Typically,
you
when I
know.
do stuff too, I'll usually bring in. I don't know if you guys know Nick Hagan. He's one of my good friends. He's a killer mixer. He's more on the mix end, but he's also a great engineer. and he's sort of more my partner. You could say we're very into anything.
They
that
work
either one of
together,
us is-
too.
Yeah. Yes. Where's the soundboard?
Platoon.
Yeah.
No.
So typically I'll bring in him to engineer as well. You know what I mean? So like it's a collaborative. I'm always trying to get just the best, just to get the best possible product.
Get the best
Yeah.
stems.
My studio shit. Yeah.
Well, I know you guys, we're about to wrap this up, but I
Yeah,
know
yeah.
you guys aren't really huge into metal, but why don't you ask these fools what they be listening to, Mod?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, see what they got for us.
So just give us something that you enjoy that is heavy. We did kind of cover that a little bit,
Yeah.
But also, in addition to what you appreciate that's newer or not, but just what you've been listening to lately that's heavy,
Right.
and also whatever you like to chill out to when it's like I need clear head and I need to just like decompress. So something heavy and something chill for the fans listening. Whoever wants to start.
Ooh, I'll start then because I kind of got answers.
Yeah.
I've been. The reason I keep bringing up Opus is because they got new songs.
There you
out,
go.
Oh, yeah.
And they're the new songs. He's bringing back the more metal aspect of it.
The
It's-
growls are back. I
The
hear.
growls are back. It's
Yeah.
still like 70s weird prog.
Sure.
But it's definitely more metally, and also they got a different drummer now.
Okay.
Which he's way more of a metal drummer. Which their last guy was great, but he was a little jazzier.
Sure.
I mean, their whole thing got a little jazzy, a little
Yeah.
too jazzy for me.
Yeah.
So this new thing sounds more like the classic Opeth that I love
Okay.
of that era. So that's why like a lot of people like me are stoked about the new Opeth shit happening. So
cool.
they put out 2 songs. I think they're both pretty fucking killer.
Cool.
I'm digging that. As far as chill music, I actually throw on a lot of, we might have talked about this when you were on, a lot of like, it's basically just like chill hop or lo-fi hip hop. It's instrumental.
Okay.
And I literally just turn on playlists on Apple Music or
Okay.
Spotify or whatever else. So it's not a particular artist, but it's just kind of like, some people would be like, it's kind of elevator music. I'm like, yeah, kind of. It's like a hip hop sample bass with just like kind of jazzy shit. It's
Okay.
atmospheric. You don't gotta pay attention to it. I
Yeah.
just turn it on when it's in the house,
Vibe.
and it creates a vibe.
Okay.
And so I love that shit.
Is that
Oh, yeah, that's
some-
cool.
Was it like a channel on a streaming platform? You said like
So yeah, the one I'm an Apple Music guy, but you could find it on anything. But like, you just search up like lo-fi or chill hop, or
Okay.
there's a great one called Beatstrumentals is one
Nice.
of the big
Oh, yeah.
Apple ones. And they're always adding to it, and I just throw it on, put it on random. I put it on my studio monitors and just turn it up so you can hear it throughout the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so if you're cleaning the house, you're fucking around. It's just
Yeah.
a vibe, dude. It's a summery vibe, you know. It's
I appreciate
nice.
that.
It's nice.
That's cool as fuck.
That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, for the heavier stuff, I kind of been going back and going down a bit of a Gojira rabbit hole.
Okay.
I really only loaded up one album from those guys back in the day. Wasn't especially digging it, and this was 15 years ago,
Sure.
or somewhere thereabouts, maybe not quite that long.
So
Kind
their
of fell
best
off
shit
it,
wasn't even out yet.
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
Yeah.
and then started kind of getting back into that.
Well, the
and I'm a
fucking
big,
Olympics, man.
yeah,
Blew it
yeah,
back
exactly.
up for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm a big metal guy, like working out. That's my go-to metal time because I like to
Nice.
get in that headspace and just kind
Yeah.
of try and get after it. So I'd say Gojira for that one.
You got a favorite Gojira album that you could name?
The one with the whale on it, which I can't remember
Mars
what
to
it's
Sirius?
called.
Mars
yeah,
to Sirius.
Yep,
That's
yep.
a good one.
So that's a
Oh, yeah.
banger. And then chill stuff. I've been on a big jazz kick lately, man. Doing
Okay.
a lot of like Kamasi Washington, and then going back to some older stuff like Buddy Rich. Have never listened to a
Oh,
ton of
nice.
jazz. Always kind of
Yeah.
liked it, but really starting to dig that now and just kind of chill out. And
Yeah.
again, like a lot of the instrumental stuff's cool, and that has pretty big stretches of that, obviously. For
Yeah, metal and
most part,
jazz
so-
go hand in hand. Clearly, like we love it. We love the fusion.
Yeah, jazz fusion.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
fusion
Yep.
metal shit.
All right,
That's-
boys.
that's
You got
good.
anything else you want to cover or go over? Anything before we wrap it up?
listen to our podcast.
Yep, there
Dude.
Yes.
Dangerville
Yes.
Podcast. It's on it's on
Apple,
everywhere.
Spotify.
It's on everywhere you
YouTube,
might want to listen to a
everywhere.
podcast. It's there.
Cool.
It's on the platforms.
Get a hold of
Tune in.
Ross. I'll have information below this video or wherever you're
Yeah.
watching this. Get a hold of Ross if you do want to track. It
Yep.
sounds like his schedule is open to track at least.
Yeah, we're
Hit me up on
it's in Grand
Venmo for
Rapids.
all payments of
Yeah.
tracking
Yeah.
across.
And
Get a
check
hold
out
of Matt.
Shave's OnlyFans with the feet.
Yep,
The feet
yep.
fan.
It's really
thing
blowing
is,
up lately,
yeah, really
Hell
paying
yeah.
them bills.
Only
Beautiful set of piggies down here.
There
Yes,
you
sir.
go. Get it how you live, brother. Get it how you live. All right. Well, appreciate you guys coming on
Yeah,
the show.
thanks
like
for
I
having
said.
us on, boys.
It's nothing
Appreciate
but love for you guys. You
Yeah,
guys are the
likewise.
fucking shit. You guys had us on multiple times. You've had
Thank
me
you.
on multiple times, and it's always been a great time. Always cool hanging out with you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming out here and being on our show.
For sure.
Of course, man.
I can really appreciate that. And with that being said, keep it metal. Peace.
Yeah. Peace, y'all.
Woo! Thank you so much for checking out the episode. Be sure to hit that like button and give us a share.
Yeah, and if you enjoyed our podcast today, please give it a rating on your streaming service to help us gain some exposure.
And if you really enjoyed the show, Please give us a follow or hit that subscribe button and come hang out with us every week. And remember, keep it metal.